Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Alright, the stream is up, it seems. Is it vertical? Yes, it's vertical, alright. And now I'm gonna go live onto TikTok. Hello, everybody. Today, we are making a comeback to TikTok live. We're setting everything up, and we are, I'm trying to set up just like the title, will hurt you, or maybe I should do capital will hurt you. I'm saying that my main argument is that the Trump presidency will hurt Americans, including his voters. Are we live? I think we're live. I should have peed a little bit before. Hello, everybody. This is the prompt. Trump's presidency. He won, but it's gonna be bad for you. If you disagree with the sentiment, let me know. Feel free to come on as a guest and let's have a conversation. But guys, this is just true. Donald Trump is not a candidate for working class. Yes, he won the election, and but at the end of the day, us as regular people, me and you, we're going to be screwed over by his presidency. I don't think it's the end of the world per se. It just won't be good. I'm also streaming on YouTube, so if you're in YouTube, feel free to chat. I'll try to read your message at some point, but obviously the focus is going to be debating on TikTok. Folks, if you disagree with this prompt and you think the Trump presidency will be good, feel free to talk in the chat and come on to stream. I'm inviting whoever. But there's many reasons for this. The big reasons are the policies that he promised. If he got even just a percentage of what he promised, it'll be bad for America. Orange Juice 12 VR says, hello, Orange Juice. Ken Cam 93 says Trump is going to be awesome. I disagree with that. I mean, I would love to hear your reasons why, and you can come on to the stream and explain. But from the tariffs to the mass deportations to the tax policy, you're gonna be screwed. Dom says, give an example of how it'll hurt the American people. A tax policy which only cuts for the top 5% and raises taxes on you is not good. He did everything I asked him to do. Donald Trump did things you personally asked him to do. That's crazy. I heard you were going to be at the inauguration. Yeah, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. I'm actually going to be on the stage, you know. I'm going to be like the intro. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, from the tax policy to the tariffs alone are also going to be, if he got, let's say, 20% on friendly countries, 60% on hostile countries, on all tariffs, all imports coming in, that's going to raise prices on literally everything. Jerry Brown says he won. Why still talk about it? Because I like debating. How will it hurt me? Well, if things are more expensive, it's going to hurt me. Just announced Trump wins every single swing state landslide. Yeah, he did win. And that was a mistake. Tiny Tom says, you don't understand how tariffs work. Please educate yourself. Tiny, I have the opinion of pretty much every economist. There's no economist that likes Trump's tariff plan. Nicole says, no income tax. Yes, please. Yeah. How are you going to fund literally anything? Excited for Project 2025. Let's go, MAGA. Oh, well, if that's the case, at least they're honest. I make too much money to care. Okay. Literally, if you are part of the top 1%, this really doesn't apply to you. I meant nothing we can do about it now. We might as well see what happens. Yeah, I mean, well, you could do something. You could run for office. You can participate in your local politics. There's things you could do. How did Kamala Harris handle her funding for her campaign? Well, she lost, so I don't really care. How many countries have you ran? I haven't ran a single country. What? Folks, if you disagree with my position, feel free to come on and let me know where I'm wrong. Donald Trump's presidency, like his first term, will be a disaster. We can have that conversation. Make a JOI ASAP. Brother, if I count from 1 to 10, that's going to be dangerous territory, bruh. Dangerous territory. Oh, I see. You don't care because she blew $1 billion and is in $20 million. I literally don't give a fuck about Kamala Harris. Okay, fuck Kamala Harris. Okay, so I see here that Big Cadillac was the first one, so I'm gonna bring him on. What's up, bro? What you up to? Hold on, I'm adjusting my. Wait, hold on. There's a bit of an echo on your end. You got headphones? Let me read YouTube chat for a second. Non-Trump presidency will be terrifying. Nothing but bro, your grift is being washed out. Grift? What grift? Big Cadillac, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. The echo's on your side. Yeah, I'm here. The echo's on your side.
I have headphones on, so I don't think it's from my side. You got headphones?
No, I'm just talking to my phone. No, I'm just talking to my phone.
You want maybe speaker? All right, let's move on to another person for now. Ace TikTok. Hello. Do you disagree with this prompt or do you agree?
Hey.
Hello.
I actually agree with Trump's presidency will hurt America.
Okay, well, I appreciate you. I definitely agree with you, but I'm trying to bring on people that disagree. So appreciate you. Thank you for your time.
Before I leave, I have one thing to say to Trump supporters. Can you explain to me what a tariff is or what GDP stands for? All right, peace out, everybody.
All right, thank you. I see this person join, so I'm gonna bring them on. Hello. Hello. Can you hear me? There's a coffee cup. All right, let me answer to some of the chat questions. How will Trump's presidency hurt you? RLD37. Well, if the tariffs get into what he's promising, it's going to raise price on everybody about $3,000 to $4,000, essentially a new cost, and that's not good for you. This person here, you have an emoji as a name, so I don't know what your name is, but okay, they're gone. All right, let's focus on the chat for now. Yes, he would. Trump hurt you. That's short term. Really? Yeah. So what happens when less tariffs come in? Then less revenue. Then he was potentially floating around getting rid of income tax and specifically using tariffs as the revenue source. So then we get less revenue because tariffs are also a method of disincentivizing imports. This person says, not listening to an Indian. I'm not Indian, bro. That's crazy. He didn't say anything about tariffs. Kamala did. Are you kidding me? Garnet. Donald Trump said nothing about tariffs. Donald Trump said nothing about tariffs. Folks, feel free to join this chat or join the stream, and we can have that conversation. MAGA, US, heart, Trump tank. World peace will hurt us. Do you think Donald Trump's going to cause world peace? If you guys believe that Donald Trump is a dove, feel free to come onto this stream because I completely disagree with you. I think that's genuinely, I'm not saying this as an insult, respectfully. The narrative that Donald Trump is like this peace-loving guy is one of the most idiotic things about the mythos around this man. Feel free to come on. There was world peace when Trump was in office. Mike Wazowski, profile picture guy, I would love to have a conversation about that specific topic with you. Feel free to come onto the stream. Carson, guess what? He's your president. No, yeah, he is my president. He won. I'm not going to pull a Trump thing and say like, oh, it was rigged. It wasn't rigged. He won legitimately. And he's going to screw things up for you. He's going to screw things up for me. He's going to screw things up for the entire working class. Respectfully, we had peace in his last term. We had soldiers in Iraq and Afghanistan. We had a genocide in Yemen that he supported. What are you talking about? Bro, RFK is going to clean the NIH and FDA. Look at the graphs. 15 million more votes than in 2020 than in 2016 and 2024. Brother, People were energized. There was COVID. There was a whole major event in the world, and there was an anti-Trump boost. There was a pro-Trump boost. What are you talking about? Can you tell me how he's gonna affect me? Shane, feel free to come onto the stream and we can have that conversation. I found one. Another crazy leftist. I'm 26-7. This game is fun. Bros made Kamala didn't win. Imagine being TikTok live on a TikTok live. Well, you're watching. Let's talk about how Kamala Harris blew through $1 billion campaign. Now she's in debt. Name one way he will make things worse. Tariffs gonna raise prices on you about $3,000 in new cost annually for individuals. Stick to boxing, Pac-Man. Hey, I appreciate the comparison. I actually do. That was a childhood hero, Manny Pacquiao. All right, Jeremy is asking to come on, so let's talk to Jeremy. Jeremy.
Yo.
What's up? Where do you disagree?
Disagree with
what? With my prompt here. That the Trump presidency will hurt not just me, not just people that didn't vote for him, but America broadly, including his voters.
So, how did the 2016 presidency hurt you?
Yeah, I mean, the 2017 tax cuts for the rich, 83% went to the top 1%. The country had more debt. The deficit was higher, like increased more than any other president beforehand, right? He attempted to get rid of Obamacare, which would have kicked 30, 40 million people off their health insurance. Of course, it failed.
Yeah, but
he wasn't able to do that.
It didn't happen.
Yeah, but you can't do attempted murder and not get in trouble with it. If you attempt something, you still have a bit more responsibility. You still have a bit of responsibility, right? And what he wants to do right now, well, actually, going back to his first presidency, just sticking to that for an extra second. In Yemen, he supported the Saudis' genocide there, which isn't good. And now he's promising to do these tariffs, which are, if it gets done the way he's promised, will increase prices for everybody about $3,000 to $4,000 new cost annually, right? So all this stuff I listed off is not just about me per se, but about everybody. He made it harder to organize a union. He made it. He deregulated a ton of things. His Secretary of Labor was the judge that let Epstein get away with shit. So, yeah, I mean, not good stuff.
So what are your thoughts about like him? That like how they're gonna have an agreement or
wait, sorry, could you repeat that? There was a bit of
Israel.
There was a bit of breaking up there.
With like the Israel and Palestine stuff, like they're coming to an agreement now, and like peace in the Middle East.
I'm assuming you're talking about the headline that Joe Rogan pushed. Among other conservative voices, they talked about a headline saying like Hamas wanted peace, essentially, or something like that, or Hamas is calling for peace. Right?
Well, like it's a war that's been going on for thousands of years.
I know, but you're specifically wait. You're specifically talking about the article that said Hamas is calling for peace after Trump won the election, right?
Yeah.
Well, the issue with that article, or at least the headline, was that in this actual statement by Hamas, they pretty much said, we're going to keep doing the same things and we're calling for an end to the war. But they did not promise, because Trump, we are now going to surrender. They did not say they're going to surrender. And Hamas has been calling for a peace deal pretty much since like November 2023, right? There was actually a peace deal that Biden was pushing that was an Israeli plan initially, but I guess the U.S. government was just like, we're just going to push it out there. And Hamas, I believe, was supportive of it. Of course, Hamas's statements don't really play a factor into whether the war ends or does not end. At the moment, it's kind of been on Israel. And Donald Trump didn't really do anything to suddenly change Israel's mind. He's saying they've been being held back and he wants them to do more.
Well, they definitely seem to respect Donald Trump more than they do Biden or Harris.
Who?
The whole world. Russia.
Wait. Okay, let's focus
Um,
on Israel and Palestine. There was a statement that Hamas released, which is the same sentiment that they've had for this entire conflict. Nothing really changed on Hamas's part, nothing really changed on Israel's part. So, in this situation specifically, I'm curious where's the indication that, oh, peace is coming and they just respect Trump because they love Donald Trump?
well, he said that he was going to end all the wars, and then
Do
like
you
24
believe
hours
someone?
after he got elected.
Do you believe somebody when they're just like, I'm just gonna end the wars? Like, do you just believe it, or would you like to see a way how he goes about it? Right?
Well, I'd like to see a way, of course.
Is he gonna, for example, I don't know, stop giving arms to Israel to bomb civilians in Gaza? Or
No,
did he say he's going to unleash Israel, that they've been held back?
no.
He didn't say that they've been held back?
Or yeah, sorry.
Okay. So he said that they've been held back and he actually wants them to do more of what they've been doing, which is bombing kids, bombing hospitals, bombing schools. Every university in Gaza has been blown up. How exactly is that making peace?
Well, he said he just like wants the killing to stop, but like
So
both
the
sides.
way you can do that, as the American government, for example, you can apply pressure. You could do like what Ronald Reagan did with in the 80s when Israel was bombing Lebanon and say this is a literal, I believe what Reagan's words was this is a Holocaust, and I'm assuming he applied some behind the scenes pressure to get Israel to stop because they did. What I'm seeing for Israel and Palestine under Trump is a continuation of Biden's failed policy, which is support Israel and support Israel no matter what. And if that didn't make peace already, why is just endless support for Israel going to make peace now?
Well, Harris didn't have a good plan on that either.
Yeah, I mean, there was more chance of her at least calling for a ceasefire, maybe firing the war hawks in the Biden administration. But what Donald Trump is promising is I'm going to do literally the opposite of that. I'm going to make it worse. I'm going to double down on the Biden policy on Israel and Palestine. I mean, during his first term, we saw the U.S. Embassy move to Jerusalem. We saw Sheldon Adelson write Donald Trump's Israel foreign policy, and now Sheldon Adelson is no longer alive, but his widow donated $100 million to Trump's campaign and wants to see the West Bank annexed by Israel. So I don't understand how exactly more war in Israel and Palestine is Donald Trump making peace in the region.
Well, did they not call for a ceasefire for like 6 weeks?
Who's been calling for a ceasefire?
Uh, Israel, right?
Israel has
I don't
not been
know.
calling for a ceasefire. They've been the ones dropping the bombs.
Or Palestine.
Hamas has at some points called for an end to the war, but at the end of the day, the person that can, or the faction, the belligerent that can really end it is Israel and the United States. And based on Donald Trump's history with Israel, doing whatever they want, based on his statements during the campaign saying that they've been held back when we were giving them whatever they want, I can't see how he's going to suddenly change course on our policy in that region.
All right, I can agree with that.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. That's good. I'm glad we have an agreement.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate situation. And when it comes to foreign policy in general, when Donald Trump was president, he had his own Gaza-like situation when there was a war from Saudi Arabia and Yemen. And Bernie Sanders and Mike Lee is a conservative Republican, co-wrote a bill that got through Congress, that got to the president's desk, essentially saying we should stop arming the Saudis' genocide. And Donald Trump, as president, also rejected that. So he increased troop presence in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. He increased drone strikes for 132%. So, like, I don't know, he's not the peace guy. That was a major misconception. And by the way, for the chat, let me make the chat happy. Kamala Harris did a horrible job in addressing the narrative. She palled around with Liz Cheney, promoted the Dick Cheney endorsement. That's horrible. She ran a bad campaign in that regard. But that doesn't mean Donald Trump is the peace guy.
Well, yeah.
So, yeah, I guess we're in agreement.
Neither side is going to not stop funding the war.
Well, I would say, based on some reporting, they were saying that Kamala Harris is interested in getting rid of some of the war hawks in the Biden administration. And that would have been more likely to cause a ceasefire in Gaza. And as far as I know, the Adelsons are not, Democratic donors. That doesn't mean Kamala Harris is perfect. Frankly, I'm not much of a fan. I thought she would have been a better president than Donald Trump. But she failed because she failed the messaging war, This person in the chat says Trump is a JFK dove. JFK wasn't really much of a dove. But we have more people in chat. We've been at this for 9 minutes. So is there any final thing you want to kind of address before we move on?
Border security.
Yeah, so border crossings are down. And Kamala Harris was supporting a conservative bill that I'm not particularly a fan of. Donald Trump is talking mass deportations, which conservative outlet Reason, their conservative publication, they were saying is both immoral in their view and costly. And would cause massive labor shortages, particularly in important industries like agriculture and construction, which is very concerning when Donald Trump also wants to do tariffs, which will increase costs broadly, but also increase the need to produce, and he wants to also artificially cause a labor shortage. So, yeah. Border crossings were down. So, yeah,
Yeah, but my thing is, she was in charge of protecting the border, right? Like, that was her task.
I will say, I'm not really interested in debating about Kamala Harris because she didn't win. But in that regard, she was not tasked with protecting the border. Her position as border czar, that's what the term people throw around. What she was really tasked with was trying to get at the root causes of immigration. So essentially dealing with some problems in Central America. Now, she's vice president of the United States. She really does not have any power over these countries. She really does not have any legislative power even in America besides breaking tie votes. So she could not, of course, deal with the root cause of immigration, and she has no power over the border. She had no responsibility over the border.
Well, she's the vice president. That's like one step down from being president.
Yeah, okay, but what are the responsibilities of the vice president?
I don't know. You tell me.
Stepping in if a president dies and being a tie-breaking vote. And she would do tie-breaking votes on certain policies that were pretty decent. But ultimately, she was just kind of representing the administration there. She had no independent abilities, pretty much. She was, and ultimately, she's not the president. So, yeah.
Yeah, but she was still a part of Biden's administration. I feel like nothing really happened during their administration. They didn't really do much.
Okay, well, we can talk about some of the details there, and then we can probably move on to some of the people waiting. During the Biden administration, there was the greatest increase in manufacturing jobs we've seen in decades. 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. Compare that to a decrease of 200,000 under Donald Trump. There was investments in infrastructure, which Donald Trump promised he'd do, and he didn't do. There was tariffs, but targeted tariffs, like to protect the American auto industry, preventing Chinese EVs from flooding, where the corporate bosses liked it, but so did the workers. He had a pro-union environment. It was easier to organize. Unions could strike and have more chance of success. We saw that with the United Auto Workers. They did a strike, and their unions got much better benefits. We've seen Starbucks unions pop up. So yeah. That's a good thing. I'm not saying it's enough. I'm not saying he fixed every problem with the economy. But inflation was down and wages were up at this point. And Donald Trump is talking about doing tariffs, which are inflationary, which are set based on what plans he released to increase costs annually for individuals $3,000 to $4,000. He has a tax plan right now, which will increase on everybody except for the top 5%. So, yeah. Donald Trump or Joe Biden Not perfect, definitely not in regards to Gaza, but on the economy, he did a lot better things than Donald Trump did. He actually did some of the things Donald Trump promised when it came to Donald Trump's better promises in 2016. Now, Donald Trump dropped a lot of those decent promises in favor of just saying tariffs and mass deportation, which is running on more cost to you and less workers, so even more cost as well, and shortages and potentially food. So, I mean, for all the flaws Joe Biden has, Donald Trump has like 10 times for one, you know?
Yeah, but also, like, are tariffs really a bad thing? Like, when's the last time you've seen
I'm not
anything that
against
says
tariffs. I'm not against tariffs. Well, manufacturing increased by 800,000 new jobs. There's been historic public and private investments. It's actually highest that it's been in decades, probably since World War II. Genuinely, like the public and private investments, the money going into constructing new factories is the highest it's ever been, and it happened under Biden. There's ways you can increase domestic production without potentially collapsing the economy for the working class, right? Joe Biden did do tariffs. Donald Trump is promising to do tariffs across the board. Joe, you can do tariffs. I'm fine with tariffs if it's targeted. But if you just say every single import, then of course everything is going to get more expensive. So again, I'm not against tariffs. It just has to be done right. Donald Trump is promising he's going to do it wrong.
Yeah, I understand that tariffs might increase price, but it also makes more jobs. And also, like, we're having all these Chinese, like, laborers, like, all these, like, these little kids are making all these products for us. And, like, do you agree with that? Like, we should do that?
Yeah, I want more domestic production in America. And we were getting that under Biden. But that's not really the reason why people voted for Trump. People vote for Trump because they feel the economy is not the best, and the economy needs to be better. There's a lot of the underlying issues that's happening during the Biden economy was happening during the Trump economy and during the Obama economy. The Trump and Obama economy, people were kind of universally praising as like, yeah, the economy's doing great. The underlying issues from that economy is happening under Biden economy, and that can't be ignored. But the things that you're bringing up, Biden was succeeding on where Donald Trump failed on. Bringing manufacturing back, being the key thing there. Competing with China, increasing domestic production. And if we're in a situation now where the literal construction of new factories will be much more costly, because even raw materials are going to become more expensive, where we're going to have labor shortages, I can genuinely see the historic investments into the construction of manufacturing in America going down because of these economic policies Donald Trump's pushing, which are, you know, we're on TikTok, so I can't say certain words, but economic unaliving.
All right, so before I leave, I want you to do something. I want you to write down all your concerns on a piece of paper, and then throughout the 4 years, I want you to look back on that and see if you were right or if it was just the media trying to scare you.
Wait, I want you to address where I'm wrong. Because you can't just say, oh, it's just the media. Where am I incorrect?
No, I can agree with you on some stuff, but I can also disagree.
On what, though? Where am I wrong?
You said like a whole lot of nothing.
No, I didn't. What is the nothing? Show me where I'm wrong. I would love to hear it.
I wasn't really listening because you were just yapping and yapping.
Okay, so you're not understanding. So, do you disagree that tariffs increase cost?
No, I agree that, but it's a good thing.
Do you think that maybe you could do tariffs in a strategic, targeted manner rather than across the board, which will add $3,000 to $4,000 in new costs to everybody annually?
$3,000 to $4,000 going into the U.S. people's money.
No. That's money that you're spending more on your day-to-day what you're buying.
Yeah, and we're keeping the money in the
You're not keeping the money. It's leaving your pocket. You are spending more. During the entire Biden administration, I was told the issue was inflation. Donald Trump is promising to do this artificial inflation, bro.
Yeah, and it's going into other people's pockets.
Going into who? Going into who? Tell me
these
who's getting the money.
manufacturing jobs that are making these
No,
stuff.
wait, why would the manufacturing jobs continue to exist when, by the way, manufacturing investment went down in Donald Trump's first term, and you're literally going to be creating a situation where there's labor shortages, you're literally less incentivized to build a factory if it's not going to be filled, and also the construction of the factory is going to be significantly more expensive now because even the most basic raw materials will be more expensive. And and by the way, manufacturing jobs don't appear out of thin air. Tariffs can be done quickly. Tariffs can be done by legislation relatively quickly. You put the tariffs in, suddenly it's super expensive to import into America. It's not like the factories to increase domestic production will just be built, right? And again, to clarify, you don't need to make $3,000 to $4,000 in new cost onto working people to increase manufacturing, because we saw an increase in manufacturing, 800,000 new jobs under Joe Biden, right?
Did Donald Trump not have tariffs in 2016?
He did not promise across the board tariffs. I'm not principally against tariffs. Joe Biden did tariffs on electric vehicles from China. That's good because it protected American electric vehicle production and American auto manufacturing in general. It makes the workers happy. It makes the manufacturer happy broadly. You can do targeted tariffs, but across the board tariffs on literally...
Trump's not going to be able to do tariffs across the board.
That's what he's been promising. Why wouldn't he be able to do it?
Because it's just not possible. Tariffs happen slowly.
Why? Why would it not be possible?
You think he can just be like, oh?
Well, if he gets a Republican majority and they get the bill in, I don't understand what's exactly stopping him, unless you're saying that the Republicans would say, Donald Trump, we're not going to let you do your campaign promise, which I really doubt most Republicans are going to let him get away with, which I really doubt most Republicans are going to do.
So you also think that, like, they're going to ban abortion all across the board?
Depending if that's a priority that Donald Trump wants to do. If the Republicans have a majority in the Senate and potentially the House, why wouldn't they? The only way, you can guarantee, this is probably not going to happen in the legislative level, is if the Democrats win the House, which is still up in the air, but it's also still very likely that Republicans get the House. And if they have a trifecta in the House, in the Senate, and the presidency, there's not really much roadblocks in the way.
All right. I'm going to step down because other people want to come up.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you for coming.
Yep. See ya.
All right. I think I seen this person waiting for a bit, so I'm going to let them on.
How's it going, bro?
What's up? What's on your mind?
All right. I have a question, first of all. Where do you get your information from?
You can search up a lot of this information. I don't have every single article's link memorized, but definitely during the election, you do a lot of research on the policies. So
I want to touch up on a couple things you said.
Yeah.
You said the Biden administration created 800,000 jobs.
Manufacturing jobs.
Okay, and the Trump administration lost
200,000. Yes.
And you're not saying anything about COVID and how the job losses had to do with that and the jobs that came back.
Well, I mean, presidents don't exactly get well, we understand there is this economic situation, so here's your excuse. And by the way, before things really dropped during COVID, there was already stagnation and decline in the manufacturing jobs. There was a continued trend from the Obama era in manufacturing job growth, not like a spike, but a trend upwards. It continued early into Trump's presidency, but early into Trump's presidency also saw a decrease in manufacturing investment, which eventually showed itself in the jobs numbers as it began to stagnate and then go down. And then COVID happened and there was a big drop. But again, presidents don't get brownie points just because, a global recession happened. So you get an excuse, Mr. President. So if they don't get brownie points,
then why are you giving Biden credit for the jobs that were bounce back jobs from COVID?
There was bounce back jobs, but then there was continued job growth after the jobs bounced back.
You said he created 800,000 jobs.
Yeah. Sure. He created 200,000 or something like that. But can you deny the public and private investments into manufacturing that are record highs?
I'm not really sure about that one, to be honest.
Okay, well, I think I can credit Biden for that because his government invested in things like the CHIPS Act, which wants to bring chip manufacturing to America, which put public money in, which inspires confidence in the private manufacturing industry. So we've seen
Okay.
both public and private industry invest tremendously in manufacturing, and yeah, I mean that's a good thing.
Okay.
That means
Anyway,
in the long run, jobs will be created.
you said something about tax cuts and tariffs. Are you aware that Biden kept Trump's tax cuts and tariffs and actually increased some of the tariffs
Well,
too?
the tax cuts in the bill that it was made, the 2017 tax cuts, many of the taxes expire in 2026. Joe Biden did not have a choice on whether he gets rid of the tax cuts before that, right?
He had a choice for the other ones, right?
The tariffs.
And the tax cuts.
Well, what tax cuts? Again, the tax bill lasts till 2026. There's
Alright,
the middle class tax cuts expire in 2026, but the tax cuts for the rich were made permanently. You just need like legislation to change that and so on and so forth.
Also,
right?
you were saying the tariffs that Trump wants to impose will make people lose jobs and all this stuff. If he wants to bring manufacturing to America and he puts tariffs on other countries, which will mean that we will manufacture stuff more here and that'll create more jobs for people here. And then he's going to lower taxes on big corporations and rich people, which means that they can pay their workers more and make other things cheaper.
So here, why do you need to do that to create manufacturing jobs when manufacturing jobs and investments into manufacturing are already going up? So why do you then need to give a tax cut to already wealthy people like Elon Musk, like Jeff Bezos, and himself? Why do you need to then also raise taxes on everybody? Because now his tax cut plan, the one he released, there was analysis on it that found it would raise taxes on 95% of Americans, only cut taxes for the top 5%. And why would you do tariffs across the board when no economist supports that?
Okay,
When it would raise prices on literally everything.
Tariffs across the board.
That's what
Obviously,
he
when speaks
promised.
about tariffs,
That's
when
what he
speaks
promised.
About tariffs, he's speaking very broadly. He's
He
obviously
promised
not gonna
across
be-
the board. There was a Japanese economist that was looking into it from their perspective as a foreign government, and their I believe the details of his plan are at least a 20% tariff even from friendly countries across the board, 60% on like China, right? But the 20% is enough to cause major economic repercussions for regular working people here and also the global economy, right? Because we're not just one isolated country. We're the biggest economy in the world. We're going to affect the global economy.
You
You're
admit
saying
if
that you
tariffs
want
are used-
you're saying you want to create jobs. Manufacturing jobs were already being created. This threatens that creation because if you're making economic instability, if you're a company that would invest in manufacturing, why would you want to invest in an unstable economy?
Do you think Trump had an unstable economy in 2016 to 20? Well, besides COVID,
Again,
but until
we're talking about what he wants to do. We're talking about the direct effects of his promises. In 2016, he did not do across the board tariffs,
and he's not gonna do across the board tariffs.
even though that's what he promised.
He never promised across the board tariffs. He
Really?
promised that he's gonna.
Really?
He promised that he's gonna tariff countries
Really?
that have been
You-
taking.
you wanna-
advantage
you wanna
of us
stand by
for
that?
years.
You want to stand by that? Like you fully commit to that idea?
Bro.
That the notion of across the board tariffs were not even talked about or thought about
What do
by
you, all right,
Donald
what
Trump.
do you mean by across the board tariffs?
Every single thing coming into the United States will be facing a tariff,
Okay, if you
even
think
from
that's
friendly
true,
countries.
if you
Donald
think that's
Trump-
true, you're ridiculous, bro.
Donald Trump across, let's see this, across the board tariffs. We can get into the details on this. First few articles, console prices skyrocket 40%, could skyrocket 40%. Everything we know about Trump's tax policy, analysts skeptical about it. Yes, you will
All right,
pay
what
tariffs.
article are you reading from?
I'm reading a bunch of different headlines right now, which Joe Rogan loves to do, which a lot of people love to do. Hold on. Wait, hold on. Sorry. What did you say? There was a notification sound. My bad.
You said, can you list some of the websites you're reading off of?
Here, we can go into Al Jazeera's, right? As a candidate, Donald Trump promised he would impose a 10% to 20% tariff across the board on all imports and 60% imports on China. That's actually, consistent to that Japanese source I was referring to earlier when they were
So
looking
even
into
if
how
he
it's going to
did do
affect
that,
them.
you
Okay,
do
so
understand
you denied it, but now you're saying even if he did it. Let me hear it. Even if he did it.
even if he did it, you do realize it would be a temporary thing, so that other countries would lower their tariffs on us, and it would actually be helpful to the economy.
Where did he ever say it was a temporary thing? On Joe Rogan, he literally talked about potentially replacing income tax with the revenue from tariffs, which, by the way, is dumb, but we can get into that later. So if
Why is
that's
that
the
dumb?
case, if he's talking about, first of all, if he's talking about replacing all income tax with tariff revenue, then where in that analysis from Donald Trump, where does the getting rid of the tariffs come into place?
You do realize that there was no federal income tax for a long time in
Yeah,
America,
I get
right?
it. The 1800s is different from the 2000s. Okay? So, again, you're not answering the question. You claimed he's going to get rid of it when, quote, other countries get rid of tariffs on us. You're implying that it's temporary.
Yeah.
He's saying that he's
I'm sure
interested
they'll
in
keep some
potentially
of
getting
them,
rid
but
of income tax to replace it with revenue from tariffs. So where in that analysis from Donald Trump comes in getting rid of it?
I'm sure he's going to keep some of them, but he's not going to tariff every single country, every product.
Where did
from
he
every
say that?
country.
Where did he say that? Because the plan is
you
20%
can
on
use
friendly
your brain,
nations. Where
Trump
did
had
he
the
say
best
that?
economy. Trump had the best economy in
Yeah,
modern
where did
history.
he say that though? You're kind of running away from the point. You're claiming he's going to get rid of it. I would like you to bring up the quote where he's saying the tariffs are temporary. Because when you're saying you're going to replace all federal income tax with tariffs, the implication that it's going to last for a while. Right?
Do you disagree with that?
You're not answering the question. Okay. Where does he say he's going to get rid of it?
I didn't say he said that. I'm just using my brain and thinking with
Okay,
logic.
you're making an assumption. Meanwhile, I'm saying he's talking about getting rid of income tax to make all government revenue kind of dependent on the tariffs, which implies it's going to be there for the long term if Donald Trump gets to do what he wants. All right, since you refuse to acknowledge that, we can specifically talk about why getting rid of income tax is a kind of silly idea, especially in the modern economy, and replacing it with tariffs. So, when you do tariffs, one of the purposes of tariffs is to sort of get people to not import, right? Make it too expensive. For example, the EV tariff. It's more expensive to send in EVs into America, Chinese EVs, so it doesn't really make sense to do it. You're not going to make a profit, so you're not going to do it, right?
Which leads to
so
more electric
if
vehicles being built here.
again, I'm not against that. That's what Biden did. So if you're doing it though across the board, you make it kind of unreasonable to import things into the United States, not just electric vehicles, but practically every product. But practically every product. So then when Donald Trump gets rid of income tax, makes the federal government depend on revenue from tariffs, but then you're also, because tariffs are supposed to decrease imports, that's one of the purposes of it, and less things come in, so you get less money from tariffs as time goes on, likely a significant drop from, let's say, year 1 to year 2. Do you not recognize how that might be a problem? When you already cut revenue?
If you do it wrong, it could definitely be a problem.
Well, across the board tariffs are wrong.
Okay. I have a question. Do you think Trump is
Well, you didn't
stupid?
really address the
You
point.
didn't ask a question.
I did say, do you think that it's a little silly to try to replace all income, all revenue with a tariff when tariffs are by design meant to decrease imports? Therefore, you'd be decreasing revenue if you're depending
Not
on the tariff
necessarily.
revenue.
I think if you had
Do you
tariffs
think
on...
do you think that the imports will just keep coming? Nothing is going to stop it?
What?
Do you think that do you think the imports will just keep coming? Like the tariffs, which are designed to decrease imports, they won't
All right, do you
affect
wanna-
the imports coming into the country.
Are you going to let me answer?
Sure.
Okay. Obviously, tariffs, well, depending on what percent it is, will affect imports.
20%
hopefully.
across the board for friendly
Okay.
countries, 60% for
And then-
China.
And then we can create the stuff that's supposed to be imported here, which will lead to more
Again,
money in America.
that doesn't happen when you snap your finger.
Okay,
We're
so
still
it
gonna
might
need
be
these
so things
goods,
might be a little more expensive for a while.
and it becomes less reasonable to even construct in manufacturing. Like those historic investments become a little less. By the way, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, Republican, very powerful guy in government now, right? He has openly discussed getting rid of the CHIPS Act, which alone would decrease about over $50 billion into that investment into manufacturing that I've been talking about. So if you are a potential manufacturer and you see the federal government just took $50 billion out of manufacturing, are you confident in your own investment?
Repeat that.
Mike Johnson, Republican Speaker of the House, he's going to be a very relevant person during the Trump administration, has openly said that he wants to get rid of the CHIPS Act, which invests $50 billion into manufacturing in the United States. So if you're among these titans of industry that are investing in manufacturing in the United States now, do you not see how that action would decrease confidence in building in America, decrease confidence in investing in manufacturing, and potentially cause less investment into manufacturing, on top of the economic instability that would come from the tariffs, mass deportation, labor shortages,
You
and so on
think
and so
Trump
forth?
wants less investment into American manufacturing?
Did Mike Johnson, the Republican Speaker of the House, not say that they would get rid of the CHIPS Act, which is a Biden
Okay.
policy, by the way? Did he say
I'm
that or
aware.
not?
I guess so.
Yeah,
I don't.
he did say that.
Okay.
And if you get rid of $50 billion in investments into manufacturing, I believe the historic highs right now about like 250 billion or something like that, in that range. You get rid of
You don't
50
think that you
billion.
can invest? You don't think you can invest in manufacturing in other ways?
No, I'm saying if the government pulls out $50 billion of investing into American manufacturing, that would not inspire confidence in the private investors. One of the reasons why they are investing in America, why they are trying to make it in America, is because they were confident, because the federal government was directly propping up American manufacturing. You say you want to get prop up American manufacturing. You're saying that the tariffs are just going to magically do it.
I
But
never
if you
said
get rid of
magically do
$50 billion of investments, I guarantee you that remaining money will go down, just like how it went down under Trump's first term.
So, what do you think about Elon Musk reducing the government spending by like hundreds of billions of dollars?
I think he's gonna cut the social safety net, which is gonna result in dead people, and I don't like that.
In what way?
Say you get rid of Obamacare and you get or Medicare, right? And you get people off their health insurance. You save the federal government money, sure, but then suddenly there's a lot of elderly people and poor people without health insurance. Obamacare alone, if you got rid of that, would get rid of 30 to 40 million people. I think actually potentially up to 50 million people now. I think 30 to 40 was in the Trump era, but now there's more people on healthcare. So you get rid of that, and people die, right? Donald Trump did say he wants to get rid of Obamacare, which does allow people through Medicaid expansion to have health care. That's bad, right?
Debatable.
It's not. It's debatable whether or not it's people having health care is
It's
good or
debatable
bad.
whether or not getting rid of Obamacare is good or bad.
Okay, so 30 to 40 million people, actually, like I said, probably around 50 million now, losing their health care. Good or bad?
Oh, it'd be good if they got different and better healthcare from Trump.
So if they're on healthcare from Medicaid expansion, do you think that they were in the market for private health insurance? And you said different healthcare from Trump. Is Trump out here proposing some sort of universal healthcare system? Because he talked about it. He praised it in the past. He
I
said,
think he is actually.
yeah, in 2016, he said no one's gonna die outside on the streets in the country. Of course, he governed and he didn't do that. When he was trying,
drug overdoses and homeless people under Kamala Harris.
you know, there was an opioid crisis during Donald Trump. You know what the opioid crisis is?
What is it?
Okay. Again, let's stick to topic. The people on Obamacare are using the program because they can't afford private health insurance.
Wait, you're
If they
not going
can't-
to talk about overdoses? and drug.
Well,
And
we were talking about one thing, and then you tried to distract, and then you don't even know what the fucking opioid crisis is. So, like, I mean, I don't know. We don't need to have that conversation when you don't even know the history of what you're talking about. You don't even know the
I do
opioid
know what
crisis.
the opioid crisis is. I was
You
asking you to
you
explain
literally
it. It's
said
way
you
more-
don't know when I asked you. All right, but
I
let's
said,
stay
I
on
didn't say I
topic.
don't know. I said,
Let's stay
what
on
is it?
topic.
'Cause I
Let's
want
stay
you
on
to
topic.
explain it.
Let's stay on topic
There's way
because
more
you're trying
opioid
to run away
overdoses
from the
in
healthcare discussion. But if someone's on Medicaid through expansion from Obamacare, do you think that they were in the market for private insurance?
Probably not.
Okay, so when you say they're just going to get healthcare from Trump, how are they going to do that?
However, Trump does it.
And how is Trump going to do that?
I don't know. I'm not Trump.
You voted for him, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying he's just going to handle the healthcare.
I
But
mean,
you
I don't
don't
think he's
know
just going to
how.
let millions of American people die.
And did he have a plan when he was trying to get rid of Obamacare the first time?
I don't know.
Yeah, so he's had 8 years since 2016. And when he was literally asked what his plan is, he was actually in the same position as you. He didn't know. He said he has concepts of a plan. Of course, he couldn't elaborate on the concepts. So what I'm seeing here
What plans
is,
have Kamala Harris elaborated on?
well, under Biden, there was expansion of Obamacare, expansion of Medicaid, and there was
Okay, wait,
drug caps.
One more thing. All right, I know you said I was
So,
changing the
yeah.
subject. You can have this healthcare one, I guess. I don't really know too much about healthcare.
Okay, so
You
wait,
said-
this goes back to the Elon Musk point. You're saying that he's just going to cut all these different things from government. You're saying, is that a good thing? I said no, because he's going to cut things like the social safety net. Again, that's
you
going
sure
to
he's
literally
gonna do
kill
that?
people. Where is he going to cut from? The military? I really doubt that, because Donald Trump increased military spending each time he was
He's gonna cut
each year
from
for
federal
president.
agencies that we don't need.
Yeah.
is
So,
what he
I don't know,
said.
the Department of Education, so he's going to cut all funding for public schools. I'm curious where the kids you think are going to get their education. From private schools?
I think they're gonna get funding from the states instead.
Okay. Now, what about
Really?
the poor states?
I don't know.
Okay. You see, this is the problem with not just Trump, but in general with conservative politics. People voted for Trump because he promised things would just get better. But when you get into the details, I mean, things are not going to get better if you get rid of all public education, get rid of schools for poor and working class kids, get rid of health care for their parents and for themselves. That's going to result in people, one, not being prepared for the workplace, if you don't even have a high school degree. Two, people literally dying because of lack of health insurance. And on one of the concerning things, and we're going to move on soon because there's been a lot of people waiting. One of the concerning things is, you were just saying he's just going to fix healthcare. He's just going to make sure people don't die. It's on him to release a plan, and he hasn't. He doesn't have a plan. That's actually one of the reasons John McCain voted against his repeal of Obamacare. So, we're going to move on to the next person. There's a lot of people waiting.
I have one last question.
You've been here for 20 minutes, so let's make it quick.
All right. Okay. You were talking about how Kamala Harris wasn't in charge of the border and how a vice president. Do you know what a vice president does? They're handed projects from the president,
and what could she do? Could she do when the project that she was handed had her responsible for dealing with the root causes of illegal immigration? It's not like she can just, I don't know, fix every social issue and economic issue in the Central American countries, right? She can't do that. She can't pass legislation to do
you
that,
don't
right?
put any blame on Kamala Harris for the border crisis that we've had, but do you admit that Joe Biden then handled the border terribly?
Yeah, Joe Biden continued a lot of Trump policies like Title 42. Wasn't a big fan of that. Ultimately,
They
right
got
now,
rid of,
border
like,
crossings,
what was it, 90
border
executive
crossings,
orders
yeah,
on their first
border
one?
crossings right now are low. It's it's Trump administration levels, and ultimately the border crossings under the Trump administration were pretty similar to Obama era levels.
Does that not
yeah.
anger you that the Biden-Harris administration was able to have border crossings low and they had the borders wide open until a few months
They
before
didn't
the
have it
election?
wide open. I mean, I think the border agents would literally disagree. They would say that maybe they would say they were overworked, but we saw an increase of people coming here, immigrating here. It was kind of like a post-COVID burst, but ultimately right now it's the lowest that it's been. I am personally for immigration. People should be able to come here if they're going to work. I'm not afraid of immigrants. Even the undocumented people, I believe I saw a thing that's like 80% of the total undocumented folks have been here for over a decade, and they've been here working. They've been here benefiting the economy. And if you mass
Wait, what
deport
do you
these
mean
people,
80% of
80.
undocumented folks have been here for?
I thought I heard a number that 80% or so. It's not 80%. A significant portion of the total population of undocumented people in America have been here for over 10 years.
That
So
is a crazy claim.
really, how many? Let's see here. How many Do you think like there was just like no undocumented immigration in like your childhood or
No,
something?
there definitely was, but there were millions coming in like every month under the Biden-Harris administration.
Have been here for a decade. Let's see here.
Also, to finish my point, you admit that Biden handled the border terribly in the first
Yeah,
3
because he
years?
was too conservative with it.
What?
He was too conservative with it. He continued like Title 42. He continued multiple Trump era policies, and he did not ultimately make the process to get people or for people to immigrate here more efficient and fast.
Yeah, the process
right?
is terrible.
The process should be faster.
I agree,
Yeah.
but so Joe Biden said publicly that Kamala Harris backed him on every single decision that he made, and when Kamala
Yeah.
Harris was
Luckily,
asked if he was
Kamala Harris for you is not president, so I don't understand why Kamala Harris is a
okay, but
concern.
if she agrees with everything he did, then if he did something bad, then
Yeah,
she should.
well, whatever. She supported the Republican bill, which I was not a fan of because, again, I'm pro-immigration,
bill
I'm
was terrible.
pro-immigrants, and ultimately it was a conservative bill. You can say it was terrible, and you could probably bring up, oh, there was foreign aid in it, but it was presented to the Senate as a standalone bill.
Foreign aid,
It
there
was
a cap
wait,
of
wait.
5,000.
It was presented to the Senate as a standalone bill, and it was still rejected by Republicans. Donald Trump told to reject it because they did not want to give Democrats a win on immigration. Ultimately, it was a
If you
conservative bill.
think that's why
Ultimately,
it was
it would
rejected.
have made it more difficult for people to come here, and that's kind of the opposite of the approach. Now, there's been people waiting, and you've been here for a long time, so we're gonna move on now, okay? All right, thank you.
All right.
All right, so I don't know the order of people waiting here. I'm just gonna let the person on top come on, okay? I see Teresa Marez here. Hello.
Hey, oh my God, that was so frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Lyft was making a lot of non-points or points about things that, like, he just doesn't have enough information. So, to your point, there was a conservative bill to handle immigration that Trump blocked
Yeah.
and wanted to use to run on, right?
Yeah.
That was like one of his big running points was that was the topic of immigration. But I want to go back and talk about the whole tariffs thing because today I had a client in my chair who,
Oh, yeah?
oh my God, I almost have to like bring my blood pressure down because that dude was pissing me off. Sorry. Today I had a
Real
client in
real
my
quick.
chair.
I just wanted
Sure.
to ask, do you mainly like agree with my point here?
Yes.
Okay. I guess with the
Yes.
story, you can tell the story since you've been waiting, but I guess let's try to bring it fast because there's people waiting, and this is mainly to argue.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Sure. So I had a client in my chair today who was talking about Christmas bonuses and people being laid off in the company that she works for. And what we're seeing happening now, before Trump even takes office, is that these corporations are stocking up and buying mass production like supplies so that they can try to conduct business for as long as possible after
Yeah.
Trump takes office and enforces these tariffs. And it's already affecting people economically right before
I'm
Christmas.
hearing that. I'm hearing stories of people who are being
And
told,
it's
yeah, there's no
happening to
Christmas
people that
bonus.
yeah, like it's happening to people that we know. It's already happening where these large corporations that are getting their products from China and other places in anticipation of these tariffs, which Trump doesn't even know how the hell tariffs work, right?
I agree with
Like
that.
he doesn't know who pays for tariffs. He
Yeah.
doesn't know that China is not paying for these tariffs.
Yeah.
The American people are, and they are already beginning to pay for these tariffs in the form of money lost. And this is not even including the whole immigration debate. This is
Yeah.
not even including like, I mean, it's just going to keep going
Potential
on and on.
labor shortages, right? That's
Potential
coming
labor
from, yeah.
shortages, potential goods shortages, which we already saw.
And it's super
Post-pandemic.
concerning. It's super concerning because he's talking.
Yeah.
He's talking. You know, if he deports every undocumented person, I think 40% of all agriculture workers are undocumented. So that's potentially going to cause food shortages. So they kept talking about the price of eggs being expensive. You know what I'm saying? They kept talking about the grocery store. It's gonna get higher if Donald Trump gets to do what he wants to do.
Yes, and I live in Texas, so
Yep.
there are a lot of illegals that are basically supplying our major food chains, which is
Yep.
like HEB is a huge one. And besides the fact that we are already living with more expensive groceries, it's only going to get
Yep.
worse, especially for low income people.
I fully 100% agree, and that's the thing you mentioned that I think that's important. It's mainly going to be low income people feeling it. You know, throughout the conversation I was just having, I was talking about how the Trump tax cuts, if you know he even does an income tax, would increase taxes on the top on the bottom 95% of Americans. That's insane. That's insane.
Right.
And even if he didn't even do that, we're still gonna see an increase in the burden for
Right.
poor people and working people.
Right.
So
And I think a lot of people don't understand that when Kamala, part of the platform that she was running on was that she was going to be increasing taxes for the 1%, for people
Yep.
of higher income,
Yep.
for people that made, significantly more than we do. And they wanted to know how we were going to fund these policies that she wanted to put in place. That's how.
exactly.
But
Exactly.
there's a couple more small things I want to talk about before I get off. And I
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
talk about Starlink.
Okay.
Have you heard about
Starlink.
Starlink? Okay.
That's Elon Musk's space Wi-Fi thingamajig.
Yes, yes. So what we're seeing was, we had a shortage, even though we had record turnouts of voters during this
Yeah.
election, early voting, right?
Yeah.
We saw less voters actually, the ballots, when they were being counted, there were less in 2024 than in 2020.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what we're seeing now, and as a lot of programmers are explaining, is that Starlink was tied, and also the ballots and ballot counting never should have been online. Starlink made them online.
Really,
And
it was
Starlink
online. I'm not aware of that, so you know
Yeah,
I
look
can't.
it up. Look,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, look
Okay.
it up. So Starlink, not online like for everybody to see, but just it made them have to, when the numbers were being tallied, they were going through online sources to be able to get those. And that's why we saw the numbers for the election come in so fast, even though we had record voters, right?
Yeah. I mean, I want to be fair. I can't confirm that or not, but if that is the case, that'd be pretty concerning.
You'll see it coming.
Okay.
You'll see
Okay.
it coming. And then, so what Starlink does, and what we saw with a lot of these votes that were being tallied, is that Starlink can only recognize one type of object at a time.
Yeah.
So if you have, say, apples, bananas, and strawberries, it can only count one thing at a time. So say it's only counting strawberries, right?
Yeah.
If you translate that to votes, it can only count one type of vote at a time. And so what we're seeing in terms of, say, these 15 million missing votes, is that they're starting to link it to this whole Starlink thing, which makes sense because it's owned by Elon Musk. And the other thing I wanted to
I would
talk
say
about,
I would say this real quick, and we should probably wrap it up. About Elon in his impact in this election. I mean, the fact that Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos, who prevented a Washington Post endorsement of Kamala Harris, the fact that the entire big tech, wealthiest people alive right now are sort of excited about the Trump administration.
right?
You know, I think people should be concerned about that. But I guess final thing for now.
Okay, well, thank you for having me on, and
Of
I
course.
just want to say there is a fund that Kamala is attaching now to any emails that go out. That is for a recount. So if you go read the fine print, if you get any emails from the Kamala Harris campaign, they're still going out, and if you go back to all the way down to the fine print, there's a recount fund. So for people who are questioning the legitimacy of the tallies of the votes, there's going to be a recount where there's hope, and they're working on it.
Okay, well, we'll see how
Thank you
that
so-
goes. Thank you for coming
Thank you
on
for
and
having
talking.
me on. Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you.
you.
I really appreciate it.
Yep. All right, let's let. I see this guy was at the top of the list, so let's let him in. Bennett, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, what's on your mind?
I have a few things.
Yeah.
My first thing I wanted to say is if you think that illegal immigration is such a good thing, then why is New York trying to ship them out of the state?
Yeah, I think legal immigration is great, and we should be making our system more focused on making it easier for people who want to work to be able to come and work and be productive members of society. And also, by the way, easier to check if someone is dangerous and then you can deport them. I'm fine with that. As it
Okay.
stands right now, and I think you would agree, the system is inefficient and not great. And by the way, when it's inefficient, it encourages people to immigrate here illegally.
Okay, I mean, I can agree with the inefficiency of our system, but at the same time, Trump only wants to stop people from coming over here illegally rather than people coming over here legally.
Well,
He never
they're
said
they're
anything
floating.
about
Stephen
people
Miller,
coming
who's
over
in
here
his administration and was part of his campaign and was part of the first administration, is now talking about a denaturalization process. So, for me, for even the undocumented people here, we should be working towards trying to make them go through the legalizing process. Meanwhile, Stephen Miller is talking about denaturalizing naturalized citizens. So, yeah, that's pretty concerning. That's not going after undocumented people only.
He's just trying to stop people coming over here and birthing kids and making them naturalized American citizens.
That's a
Well,
that's
being
part of
way
the
of-
birthright citizenship is constitutional.
And he's trying to roll it back. He's trying to get the votes and to roll it
No,
back.
he's not talking about doing a constitutional amendment. Okay? He's not talking about getting rid of the 14th Amendment. He's talking about an unnaturalization committee. He's talking about trying to find a way to deport legalized people. And by the way, generally, my understanding is people that are born here because of the 14th Amendment, they're not naturalized citizens. They are just Americans. So he's not talking about the people here that were born here. He's talking about people that immigrated here legally.
All right, can you show sources on that? I've never heard that before. That's the
Yeah,
first
I
time.
mean, I can look up Stephen Miller,
Look that one up for me.
unnaturalized citizens. Immigration Hub, GOP plans to turbocharge Donald Trump's denaturalization. I'm looking for Stephen Miller's direct quote. 1 second. California immigration. Trump says he will Trump's mass deportation plan has no price tag as he prepares to boot millions. Denaturalization. Stephen Miller
illegal.
has even Stephen Miller. Hold on. A
That's
video
illegal. It's
popped
not
up.
natural.
Hold on. A video
Can't
popped
get rid of
up. 1
people
second.
that
1
are
second.
naturalized.
Miller has even said that the previous Trump administration launched a denaturalization project in his term. In 2025, expected to be turbocharged, he wrote last year.
Trump
So-
even said he
So that's
doesn't
Stephen
care
Miller
about people
talking
who are-
about denaturalizing people. Stephen Miller, who is a senior advisor to Donald Trump, one of the closest people to him, was part of the first administration, was part of the campaign, and will be part of the administration.
Okay, and Stephen Miller. So did Trump actually say he wants to get rid of people who are denaturalized? I'm waiting on something saying where Trump said
I mean,
it.
I made the claim that Stephen Miller said it, and Stephen Miller is one of
Stephen-
his closest advisors. If you remember the
Trump didn't say
mustache,
it.
if you remember the mustache man in 1930s Germany, I'm sure he took a lot of advice from Goebbels and Himmler.
Well, Trump never said that, so. I
So
don't know
Donald
if
Trump doesn't take advice from Stephen
advice
Miller?
He might get advice from him, but he didn't say it.
Okay, well, you can say that Stephen Miller has no impact, but I think that's a pretty bold claim. That I think
He might have
Stephen
impact on
I think
him,
Stephen
but-
Miller might have a disagreement there. But yeah, denaturalizing people, not good. So we can agree though. We're in agreement. We should not be
I completely
denaturalizing
agree.
citizens.
Denaturalize anybody. That's the case. I completely agree with
Okay,
that. I don't
that's
think
great.
Trump said
We're in agreement then.
Yeah, I'm not going to be against you on that. You should not. If
All
somebody
right,
has
thank you.
already put in their papers, they should have a chance to be natural. Like they shouldn't ever be not denaturalized. But I don't think he ever said. Trump never said that. And if he did, I would completely agree. I wouldn't like that at all.
Okay, so we're on agreement that denaturalizing people is bad. There's a potential
But
that happens under this
yeah,
administration, and
yeah.
that's bad if they do that.
But
We can agree
I'm
that the
completely
system
against.
is. We can agree that the system right now is inefficient and needs to
It
be
is
made.
because it
We
takes
need to.
20 years for somebody who's trying to get a visa to come over here with like a
Yeah,
family visa. I agree
so
with
it should be
that.
faster.
But yeah, it needs to be faster for somebody that wants to come over here. But the best way to make it faster is to stop illegal immigration.
Yeah, I mean, Kamala Harris was talking about strengthening the border, all that kind of stuff. My focus,
But
I'm not really into
Kamala
I'm
also
not really
refers.
into Kamala Harris's ideas. I'm more interested in like putting more money. And this, by the way, this is Reason Magazine, a libertarian right wing institute. They're not liberal. They're not progressive. They are right wing conservative. They were saying that if we're going to invest money into anything related to immigration, instead of investing into a massively expensive and immoral mass deportation plan, we should be investing in trying to make it easier and more efficient to immigrate.
But at the same time, we need to have stronger borders while we're trying to invest and find a way to do that.
Yeah,
And
well, I mean, what's the
Kamala Harris
proposal
took
there?
away
Like build a
50 of
wall?
his laws to
What's the
prevent illegal
what's the
immigration
proposal
from
though? Like
occurring.
build a wall or something?
I mean, what I would like to do is actually listen to the chief of a border agency, ICE, and see which one he's going to support, which he supports Trump.
Again, we're not talking
And
about the election
so, and
anymore. I'm
he
asking you
completely
what you
doesn't
want to
support
see done.
Biden and
I
his
want to see what
laws.
you want to see done at the border. Are we gonna build a wall, for example?
I think a wall is a way to keep it would be a lot more healthier because you can literally walk across the border in
Because
some areas.
one, the places to walk through the border is very dangerous. There's a river. There is part that's already walled off, and so
Yeah,
on and so
river you
forth.
can swim
Two, if
through.
wall is a priority of yours, Donald Trump barely built the wall. Three, many illegal immigrants are coming through legal ports of entry, so it doesn't really solve that problem. Ultimately, a mass
They're coming
deportation
through
plan,
asylum.
yeah, and they do have a right to seek asylum, so we should make the asylum seeking
So
process
what
faster, right?
so what we should do is we should not instead of like we should keep in
Because
the laws
they have
like
to come into the
stay
country
in
to seek
Mexico, which is
asylum.
not being enforced.
But
Because
they have
right
to come
now, one of
they have
our
to come into the
laws
country
that
to
are
seek
not being
asylum,
enforced under
right?
Kamala and Biden, that Trump actually endorsed, that
But they
Trump
but they
made
but
to
they
actually
but they got to
stop
come into the
immigration.
country to seek asylum. That's how the asylum process works, right? So wouldn't it be nice, say they come into the country to seek asylum, and we can have a good amount a good bureaucracy
But
there, a good amount of workers there, judges and so on and so
but
forth that can
people
look
who are
into these
coming in the
people.
country aren't showing up to the
I'm
court,
curious. I'm
and they're
curious.
working
Yeah,
here
yeah, yeah.
illegally.
Exactly, because it's a very slow process. I would like to see it done much quicker. Maybe even day one. Maybe on that spot they can get a
And how are we
background
gonna
check
get the
right then and
money
there.
for the
So I'm
judges to do
curious.
that?
I mean, how are we gonna get the money for mass deportation?
And how are we gonna get the judges
No,
in order
how are we
to
gonna
do
get
that?
the money for mass deportation?
We just need to have stronger borders instead of focusing on mass deportation, which I disagree with Trump
Wait,
bringing
wait,
forward
wait,
for
wait,
that.
wait, 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 wait. You asked me how we pay for judges. I'm
I think we
curious.
should keep
I'm
our old
curious.
laws that we had on his first term.
So you're
That
not in
once
support of mass
Kamala
deportation.
reversed.
So you're not in support of mass deportation.
There's no way we can do that.
There's just no way we can do it.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's no way.
I disagree with the idea that we can't do it. If
I
a
think
bill
that
goes
if we
through the
tried
Senate,
to do that, we would fail.
if a bill goes through the legislature and Trump signs it, maybe you're not going to get every undocumented person kicked out, but you're going to get a good portion kicked out. You're going to have labor shortages. That's what the right wing
And
publishers were
wait,
talking about.
let's just
And
add
you're going to
this. It
separate
wouldn't be
families because there's kids that were born here that are citizens, full citizens, and their family members are going to get deported. So you're going to have family separation, you're going to have labor shortages, and yeah, that's pretty bad, right?
commits a crime and
Excuse
jumps
me?
over
Wait, sorry, you were a little quiet. Can you repeat that?
Okay, I said if somebody commits a crime and they go to jail and they're
Yes.
separated from their family, is that correct?
I think if you're trying to imply that like coming into America is a crime, I think it should not be a crime.
If you're coming here illegally, it is.
Yeah, I think there's a difference in say like murder and coming into America and working in a field, right? That's pretty different, right? You're being productive in one hand, and
do
wait, wait,
they
wait, 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 wait,
less
wait, wait, wait,
coming over
wait, wait,
here?
wait, wait, wait. In one hand, you're being productive. In the other hand, you murder somebody. So yes, someone that commits a murder should be separated from their family because they need to be put into prison, right? Or if you're talking about a immigrant that committed a murder, you can deport them, right? But we're specifically talking about people that are coming into the country, say they seek asylum, and then they're told to come into the court in whatever months or weeks they have to wait for. They don't come, and they're just somewhere in the country working, right?
Would you say
I think that
fraud's a
that's pretty
crime?
different. I think that that's pretty different than murdering somebody. I think that that person is a benefit to the economy. I think that person is a productive member of society, and we should have
Would,
had a system that can
would,
make them a citizen faster than what we did. It's on us.
would you say fraud's a crime?
Sure, when Donald Trump lied about his
Then the person
I would
coming
say
over here
I
committed a
would say
crime and committed
when
fraud.
Donald Trump lied about like his businesses or his properties being certain sizes to either get taxes lower on it or
So
scam potential
when
buyers,
the
you know what I'm saying? That's a
banks looked
concern.
at the
And
loans under
I
Donald
think that's a
Trump,
bit more
they.
concerning
Oh wait,
than
I'm sorry for
I
interrupting.
I think that's a bit more concerning than people that are coming into the country, told to wait for a certain date for the asylum. They just don't come in and they just work instead. I think
Okay,
I think that that's a little bit. There's very different things.
okay. I'm gonna just touch on the bank thing that you just said. So the banks actually put the price on the certain on his actual places, and he used the banks in order to get the price of his houses. And if you actually look at the trial, the prosecutors are literally the judge sitting and talking to the prosecutors, and they're actually begging the judge to not actually get in trouble for trying to prosecute Trump for it because they've never actually
I
prosecuted him
can't speak on
before.
that, but ultimately he was found guilty by a jury of his peers, not the
Um,
judge. You know, the judge didn't make the decision. It was a jury of his
I
peers. But we've been at
the
this for 11 minutes,
when
and there are
he
people waiting, so we can kind of like wrap it up a little bit.
well he did appeal that, and the judge that in his actual appeal case, which hasn't went to full fruition yet,
Yeah,
was
it
actually
didn't
like
go through full
making the
fruition.
like actually if you watch like the video of it, he's literally looking at the prosecutors, and the prosecutors are like, please don't get us in
Again,
trouble.
I can't talk about this specific
I do
thing.
want to talk about
You know.
tariffs if possible.
Okay, yeah, let's go talk about tariffs. What's your thought on the tariffs?
Okay, so the first thing I would want to say, so if we increase tariffs on China, we increase tariffs on the 20% all tariffs around here, get rid of
We
income
didn't do
tax.
that.
What is that going to do?
Wait.
So
We
first
didn't.
thing,
Wait. Donald Trump did not put tariffs on everything coming in from China or whatever.
he's going to do
He
it his
did.
next term. He said that
Okay,
he's going to get rid of income
okay.
tax.
So you're saying I thought you were talking about when he did his first term. You're talking about his current tariff plan, which is across the board tariffs, which you
Yes,
support.
that's what I'm talking about. Yes, I do support it actually.
Yeah, so I don't support it because of $3,000 to $4,000 of new cost to the American people is a lot, you know, and considering one of the issues of this election cycle was inflation and people don't like how expensive things are at the grocery store. I don't think people are really gonna be when they start feeling the effect of tariffs if it passes. I don't think they're gonna be really enthusiastic about thousands of new costs.
As much
You
as
know.
I hear you there, I'm going to just say this. So he's trying to fix a problem that we've had for many, 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 many years in the States. A problem that we
Mm-hmm.
used to not have after World War II, after the Depression, when
You're
we had
talking manufacturing now.
globalization of manufacturing in the U.S.
Yeah, so
And right now, if
I
we keep on
agree
the
that we
route
need
that we're
manufacturing.
going, our kids are going to be extremely, extremely poor.
So I'm curious
We are
how
going to
much
be
manufacturing jobs are made under Biden?
Uh, that's all due to COVID. And
No,
anyways,
that's not true.
after
That's not due to
Obama,
COVID. That's not due to
manufacturing
COVID.
was less.
Well, Obama was the beginning of against the trend that we saw under since the 70s, a manufacturing decrease. We actually saw manufacturing increase under Obama, not to the way I would like to see it, but it nonetheless did. It continued for the first few years under Trump, but investment into manufacturing actually went down in the first 2 years of Trump. And then in the last few years of Trump, we actually
Because
did
of
see
COVID.
stagnation and eventually a massive decrease. And you could say due to COVID, but we already saw a stagnation and decrease in the years before COVID, right?
Okay.
Under Biden, we've seen 800. So by the end of Trump's term, 200,000 manufacturing jobs are gone. Under Biden, we've seen 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. We've seen historic highs, public and private investments into manufacturing, only comparable to World War II. So, I'm not just talking about the jobs created, which did spike under Biden. I'm also talking about investment, which is reaching unprecedented levels,
The
far
stocks
surpassing.
always
I'm
go
not
up,
talking
right?
about stocks. I'm not talking about stocks. I'm talking about the direct investment into construction, shovels in the ground to build factories. That's what we're seeing actually
Yet we
spiked
still
under
have
Biden.
extremely high housing costs. Everything's still too
That's a
pricey.
different economic issue. You're specifically talking about manufacturing, and on
But
manufacturing, the thing
but I
that
never
you
even finished my point though.
no, no, but you're specifically talking about manufacturing here.
Yes, and I
And
never finished what I was
under
saying.
Trump we saw a decrease. Under Biden we saw an increase. Under Biden we're
Okay.
seeing historic highs. So
Well, Trump had to deal with COVID, so it's
you
not
can
important.
again we don't give excuses to presidents. You can if George W. Bush was just like, well, fellas, there was a recession, so
There
you
was a
can't really
recession
be
under him, but
you
he
can't
also
really be
decided to
mad
hold
at
off
me.
war and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So again, you're saying we need to do these across the board tariffs, which are going to increase prices for regular people,
Yeah.
$3,000, four
Well,
thousand
we
dollars
can't judge
to make
Trump's
to
economic manufacturing jobs because of COVID,
wait,
though, which is much
wait.
different than Biden.
We can judge presidents. They're big boys, you know.
Not because of
We can
world
judge
problems.
presidents.
That's like saying inflation
We
is
can
Biden's problem right now when it's not. It's
well
due
to
to
it
the world
to
problems.
again, many people have criticized Biden for inflation. So with Trump, again,
But
we're
I'm not
talking
many
about
people.
we're
About
talking
me.
about what he wants to do, and we're talking about what you support. You support thousands of dollars in new costs for regular working people because you think
No,
it's gonna bring back
if you
manufacturing.
can, it will actually make it cheaper if you listen to my explanation, which I haven't had a chance to do yet.
So do you
So
deny the $3,000 to $4,000 new cost that would come
I
because
deny
people
it
would?
because of what's going to happen if you
Okay,
get rid of income
I'm
tax.
sure most economists would disagree with you. And oh, you're also in support of
There's
getting.
economists that agree and disagree. It's based off their party affiliation.
I would love to see the economists that agree with
And there's a
across the
lot of
board tariffs.
economists out there that
I
are
would love to see it.
socialists as well.
I would love to
So, but
see I would love to see the economists.
let
So
me just
you
say
support
the
income
plan
tax
of
getting
Trump
removed.
and why it actually works, so you can argue against the plan. We're not talking about some economist from Google that you can find online. You can find economists from Google that agree. You can find that disagree.
I know, but I'm talking about you support removing all income tax and replacing it with tariffs.
I support getting rid of income tax. I agree that we need to increase tariffs because it'll bring manufacturing
So-
over here. It will bring more jobs, more manufacturing equals more money from taxes, which will bring us back to like the levels of like after Great Depression. After World War II, it will bring us back to levels of more money for American citizens. That will also, it might increase prices in the first phase of it happening, but the prices will decrease drastically.
So you're saying
after it
revenue
happens.
is actually going to increase under Donald Trump.
Yes.
That's your claim. All right. So say we do the tariffs and say we get rid of income tax. So suddenly we lost a lot of revenue from the sudden no income tax.
People are
So
gonna
we're
get
all
paid more when they
defending.
work.
No, well, suddenly we're all getting $3,000 to $4,000 of new costs from the tariffs.
People
Now,
who work
there's
are getting
revenue.
$3,000,
There's
$4,000
revenue.
more because
There's revenue. You don't really have a source for that $3,000 $4,000 number. You're just kind of pulling that number out of your ass. The analyst that looked at the tariffs found
But
that
people aren't
the
getting paid
increased
income tax,
costs.
and I can tell you,
Wait,
income
hold on,
tax for
hold on,
someone who gets paid
hold on,
$23K a year, like
hold
I
on,
used to, was $3,000,
hold on,
$4,000.
hold on. The increase in tariffs are going to be 3,000 to 4,000. That's what the analysts that looked at his plan are saying. You're just saying people are just going to save a bunch of money just because. What you would see is the greatest redistribution of wealth from the poor to the rich that we
Really,
have
with
ever
less
seen
income
in our
tax.
country. Because it's going to be really the ultra wealthy saving money. Meanwhile,
Everyone will be saving money, less income tax.
the poor and working class would, on one hand, suddenly have to pay a lot more on their goods, and on the other hand, would lose a lot of the social services that they need. the social safety net would be absolutely ripped apart and destroyed.
So you're saying
You
without income
but do you agree with that though?
No, because people are getting paid more without income tax.
Do you think the social safety net would be destroyed?
No, because we're getting more money by manufacturing jobs, and we're bringing jobs back to America.
How much money? Okay, so Joe Biden's the one that's bringing jobs back to America. There's been historic public and private investments into manufacturing, and you can do targeted tariffs. But so you're saying that the revenue from the tariffs would make up the difference? Because I'm trying to understand where the money's coming from.
Not the tariffs, indirectly, not the tariffs, but then the tariffs will do a little, but it would be the actual manufacturing come back to America that'll bring us more money.
So manufacturing already is coming back to America.
It's going to come
the
a lot
investment.
more.
The investment is the highest it's been since World War II.
Name a shirt of yours that isn't made in China.
Wait.
Go back to
The investment.
The
investment is the highest it's been since World War II, and
Great,
you're
we
still
should
not
do more.
satisfied with it.
No, we're not.
Instead, you're saying to do tariffs. Wait.
Look at your shirt.
Wait,
Where is it made? Is it USA?
Wait. You're saying to do tariffs, which analysts say will be a $3,000 to $4,000 new cost, and you're saying it'll just boom, the manufacturing is going to come back. So do you understand though that, say we look at the investment number, right? So you notice how when investments went down, you notice how when investments into manufacturing construction went down under Donald Trump's first 2 years, the stagnation of jobs and the decrease happened in the next few years.
We're not talking about Trump because of COVID.
Hold on. I'm not even talking about the sudden drop. I'm talking about the fact that the years prior, we saw stagnation and then decrease, reversing the trend that was happening throughout the entire Obama era nearly. So I'm making a point that these investments into manufacturing construction takes time. It does not happen like this. So you're implying that the tariffs will just make more need for domestic production here. It's going to take many years. Hold on. It's going to take many years for our industry to meet the demand of the American people.
Well, we'll see how fast
you're risking the potential decrease of those historic high investments that we've seen under Biden. Because you could tell me this, what did the Republican Speaker of the House, what did he say about the CHIPS Act?
Just look at COVID and look at the stock
market. I asked you a question, and I'm not talking about the stock market. I don't give a fuck about the stock market. What did the Republican Speaker of the House say that he's going to do to the CHIP Act?
That's Republican Speaker. I don't really care. The House is changing.
He's going to get rid of he intends to get rid of the CHIPS Act, which is a massive investment into manufacturing. So one of the reasons why these companies invested into construction of manufacturing in America is because they were confident, because they saw the federal government also directly investing into manufacturing. So they felt that it was safe to invest in manufacturing. You could make a profit. What you would see under Donald Trump is potentially removing $50 billion from the manufacturing construction, a sudden decrease, an increase on tariffs, which would make everything more expensive, including, by the way, raw materials for construction. Every single raw material would be more expensive. And also, he's talking about wanting to do mass deportations, which would cause a labor shortage in a time where you would need more people to work.
Actually, that would increase the pay of people, because less people to do the jobs equals employers have to pay more.
It also equals less production.
It means that employers have to pay more. Yes.
It also equals less production, right?
Okay,
if you
but
literally
have to pay more.
So
the production will come back. We have plenty of people that don't work in the US. That just means more jobs.
Unemployment is relatively low. There's a lot of open jobs right now.
No, there's not. How many people are looking for jobs?
Yes, there is open jobs right now. You can Google jobs
And
in your
people,
area, but
the most
again, you're
jobs
painting me a
or
picture.
what?
You're painting me a picture. You're painting me a picture
Saying.
where there's tariffs that make things more expensive for everybody. There's an increased need in production. It's more expensive to even build a factory, and there's going to be less people overall to produce things. Now, you say that's good, that's going to make the pay better, but at the end of the day, if production is lower in a time where we need to produce more, when there's less supply and a lot of demand, what happens?
When there's more demand for jobs, employers have to pay more in order to get them to work. In
When
order
there wait 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 wait
to
wait wait
get
wait
more
wait wait
people
wait
to
wait
come in to
wait
work.
wait I asked you a specific question. When there's not enough supply and there's a lot of demand, here, what happens to the price
Yeah,
of goods?
price of goods increase, but supply will be fine. I guarantee you, people will
Supply will
still
just be
hire
fine.
people.
Everything you're saying here is just it'll be fine. You're not giving reasons why it'll be fine. It's
Yeah,
just
because
it'll
they'll
be
have to
fine.
pay more in
Okay.
order to bring in
So
workers.
you
And more
understand also
people
about
working.
tariffs. Tariffs are also by design meant to discourage imports. Now, Donald Trump is saying that the revenue from tariffs is going to cover the revenue loss from getting rid of income tax. You get rid of income tax, you
Then
get
people
these
get paid
tariffs,
more.
and the because the tariffs are present, it doesn't really make much financial sense to import a lot into the
It
United States.
seems like you're just
So,
against U.S.
so
citizens getting paid more.
so I think if you honestly got that read from what I'm saying, I think you're genuinely full of shit. But let's continue to follow along, right? A pretty basic thing here. Donald Trump says he wants to get rid of income tax, replace it with revenue from tariffs. Tariffs discourage imports into the United States. So after year one, there's a significant drop off of imports coming in, meaning there's a significant drop off of revenue from tariffs. I'm really curious, just on a practical sense, how we pay for the social safety net.
People, manufacturing jobs will come to U.S. because they're going to be losing a lot of money. If
That's
they don't
not the
come
social
to
safety
US.
net. I'm talking about the social safety net. I'm curious
We
how
will
we
have
pay for the
plenty of
social
money
safety
coming in
net.
once manufacturing jobs come to the
I'm
U.S.
just, again, I'm curious how we pay for the social safety net.
Exactly, the taxes from
Tell me,
manufacturing.
okay. Again, I'm describing to you the issues
He's
earlier
talking about the
of
social safety
potentially.
net from income tax. That's what
I'm describing to you
responding this in.
potentially how there would be complications in manufacturing increasing in America because of the conditions that Donald Trump is setting up. I'm talking about
There'll be
how
more
production will be
manufacturing.
higher because there will be a labor shortage. I'm talking about how even raw materials for
Peop-
construction
There's
will be
plenty
more
of U.S.
expensive.
citizens
So
willing
I'm
to work
curious
that can't
here.
find jobs
Day
now.
one, after the tariffs are passed, and let's say mass deportation's a thing, and so on and so forth. How are we
So
going
more
to
Americans are
pay
hired.
for Medicare, Medicaid,
And
Social
and
Security,
I'll also add one more.
Obamacare?
You keep on talking about increased
How
pay
are we
for
going to pay
goods.
for public
What hap-
education?
You keep on talking about increased pay on tariffs. Trump endorsed tariffs on his first
I'm not principally
no
against
price
tariffs.
increase.
I'm not principally against tariffs. And Donald Trump in his first term did not do across the board tariffs. I think you can do
Yes, he didn't do
specific.
across the
I
board.
think you can
But
do
even with
specific
his tariffs
tariffs.
on like
I think you can
farms,
do.
things
I think
like
you can
that,
do. I think you
he
can do
didn't.
specific. I think you
Prices
can
didn't
do
increase in our
specific.
groceries.
Yes, you can do specific targeted tariffs, which will not have a dramatic negative effect on prices. For example, when Joe Biden put tariffs on Chinese EVs, the purpose was to make it not profitable for the Chinese EVs to bother trying to sell in America. This was done to help American auto manufacturing. And it also did not lead to a sudden increase in cost of American cars, for instance. It just
Yeah,
stayed the same.
just like
So,
it's the same all around.
but
People just
no,
have
it's
to
not
buy
the
more
same.
America.
It's not the same because we're talking about a targeted thing for a specific product to not flood the market in America.
And if anything
If you
increases too
say,
much on a price,
if
you can
you
always decrease the
say, if
tariffs.
you say across the
Increases
board
leverage.
tariffs, if you say across the board tariffs, you are literally talking about every single thing entering
And
the United States.
and
We're not
if we
talking
can't
about
get
a
jobs
specific
here, we
thing.
can always decrease
And
it.
also,
It's fine.
again, the point of the EV tariffs was to discourage these products from coming into the country. Donald Trump, with his tariffs, are saying it's an alternative to our revenue because he's floating around getting rid of income tax. And I'm telling you that you will not be able to pay for the social safety net that keeps people alive if you just get rid of the funding for the social safety net. So I want to understand how we're gonna pay for Medicare under your system.
How? We're having more manufacturing, more money coming in. We have tariffs as well. We have everything that
So
we
when the
need
tariffs
with
when the
more
tariffs
jobs and
when the
more spending.
tariffs when the tariffs decrease and therefore the revenue from the tariffs decrease, do you not think we have to maybe at that point cut
No,
things like
because we have more
Medicare?
manufacturing when actually
Okay,
happens. We don't need a cut.
again, I gave you many reasons why there would be a potential complication to manufacturing. And by the way, if manufacturing increasing in America would just suddenly fix every economic problem, then Joe Biden would be the greatest, would have the greatest economy fucking ever, right? But
Well,
I'm
we had the
assuming,
best economy
I'm
and we didn't have
assuming,
income tax in like the 1960s.
I'm assuming we, excuse me.
Not 1960s, but after World War II.
You believe we didn't have income tax after World War
Let
II?
me see when it was started. Maybe I'm wrong.
We had income tax after World War II.
I could be wrong. Let me see the year for it started.
Yeah, you don't really have to look it up. We get it. There was income tax after World War II. There
Well,
is
I could
no
be wrong on that
there.
one.
Yeah, you're wrong, but that's okay. I understand. There is no modern economy that just goes without income tax. You know what I'm saying? It's a pretty big part of both funding the necessary services that we need, but also stripping to a degree power from the top. Now, unfortunately, our tax code has been written in a way that has benefited the top 1% and shifted a lot of the burden.
Pay the most taxes.
Shifted on the burden onto much of us in a much worse way, and was able to help the rich save a lot more money. And that's unfortunate.
The only reason is because when you look at the rich people, think that the rich people are like the reason they're getting richer is the stock market, is the fact that they're putting investments. Investments are going up.
And also like
So,
for
like, somebody
corporations,
has $100 billion.
also for
$200
for
billion, they don't sell.
corporations, they could, like, instead of paying their workers higher wages as the company grows in an exponential way, they just put it into stock buybacks. It's a pretty fucked up situation,
I agree
right?
with you. It's pretty fucked up. I agree.
And what Donald Trump is now talking about is removing income tax.
Kamala would have just totally caused a depression with her idea, so that was a bad idea.
What idea?
So we
What
just need
idea?
an
Whoa,
alternative.
wait. What would Kamala do that caused a depression? Be pretty bold.
With her putting unrealized gain tax.
I'm curious, how much money do you think you would have in unrealized capital gains before you get affected by Kamala's plan?
The problem is people would sell.
Well, I'm curious, how much money do you need in unrealized capital gains for you to be affected by that? Do you have the answer?
I believe it was like $400,000, something like that. It was a lot of money.
It was $100 million.
It was like, yeah, I knew it was a lot.
It was $100 million, so no regular ass person is going to be affected by that. Now, Elon Musk is going to be affected by that. Jeff Bezos is going to be affected by that. Mark Zuckerberg is going to be affected by that, right? Some Saudi prince who has money in the stock market, they're going to be affected by that. But that's good. They should be. Those are the kind of people that need less money, because money
60% of their taxes.
Money is power, and when you have a situation where Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, go to Russia, go to China. China will definitely treat Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos better. They want to be in America.
Europe.
Yeah. Europe has higher tax rates than we do. So, no. I think we need a situation where we have a tax code much more similar to the tax code that we had when we saw the greatest expansion of the middle class. We need an economic situation
that's more 400K. Can you look up the source? I don't know.
Excuse me?
I don't know where it is. Alan Meddy's saying it's 400K for that when people would start. Because I don't remember
for unrealized capital gains. Unrealized capital gains was $100 million for it to affect you.
I want to look that one up. I'm just not quite sure about that. You could be right. I could be
Unrealized
wrong. I
capital
don't
gains,
know.
Kamala Harris. Vice President Kamala Harris, unrealized capital gains on wealth exceeding $100 million. So
Okay, then you're probably
yeah.
right. I don't
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
honestly.
So
I'm
it
not saying you're
it
wrong.
really wouldn't affect anybody besides the 0.1% of the top 1%. It would not even affect
That's
the broad
still would be a
majority of
bad
the top
idea.
1%. Why do you want a tax system much more like that we've had
I wouldn't.
under Reagan, instead of having a tax code similar to that which we had, where we saw corporate profits go up, corporate
I
CEO
think
wealth go up, with workers'
one
wages
point.
going up as well?
Well, I'm
We've
gonna
had
just say
since
this.
yeah.
Somebody. Okay, first of all, the rich already pay 60 to 70% of our taxes.
Because they
It's
physically they literally have most of the money. So when you
like
have
Elon
most of the
Musk
money,
paid 10 billion last year.
so when you
Yeah, they do have a
yeah,
lot of money,
wait, yeah,
but
I don't really care about the specific amount of money he paid. He's not a victim. He's making more money. All these people, they can complain like, oh my God, I pay this much in the economy. Look at how much I contribute. It's because you took all the wealth and gave it to yourself, the billionaire class. I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about me. People like me and you, we're not with them. We're not part of the club. Okay? But we used to have a tax code which saw corporate CEOs and workers, the corporation, the CEOs, and the workers grow together. Since the 1980s, we've had a tax code and an overall economic plan, neoliberalism that has led to corporate CEOs getting a tremendous amount of wealth, the corporations themselves getting a tremendous amount of wealth. Meanwhile, regular people's wages have been stagnant. We've been left behind. That's not a criticism of Donald Trump, by the way. Now, he did continue
Well,
that.
that's
That
true.
is his
People rich
economic.
are getting richer, poor are getting poor.
That is what he continued, right, under his presidency, and he wants to sort of exacerbate that under the second term. But Obama continued that. Bush continued that. Both Bushes, Clinton and Reagan, that was their shit. And Donald
I
Trump's a
think both
continuation of that.
parties. I honestly think both parties, their system wouldn't work. And unrealized gain tax, I disagree with you on like it still being there because companies do need large investments in order to keep them alive and keep a support. And people.
But do you recognize though that we had a time
everybody
where
with it over 100 million just won't invest into companies?
do you recognize though that we had a time where corporations were growing and workers were benefiting and CEOs were benefiting together?
Yeah, because there was more manufacturing back then. Which
Yeah,
goes back to
so
our first point.
we've been investing in manufacturing, and we can invest in manufacturing while also writing a tax code similar to.
No, we're not investing in manufacturing. Our manufacturing went to China and never hasn't came back.
I explained to you throughout this whole discussion that manufacturing investments have gone up to levels we haven't seen since World War II.
We don't.
We haven't seen this number. Brother,
if you have $100,
brother,
I'm going to give you an example. If you have $100, and
Yes.
let's just say we have one president, and the $100 goes down to $1, and then you have a president that says, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to give $2," like maybe Trump did. And then you have another president that puts it back $7. Like Biden may have. That's $9. It'd be $100.
No, if you want, I get your analogy. I get your analogy, right? So if you're saying like World War II times, right? The investment in manufacturing was like 100, correct? $100 in that analogy.
Not investments.
So
So
what
manufacturing jobs that we actually
Yeah,
have.
yeah. Listen, for a moment, I get your analogy, and it's actually a really interesting analogy. So you have $100. We had $100 in the World War II times. Slowly it went down. In the 80s, it went down a lot more, and let's just say $0 under Bush. We actually saw, $10 put in under Obama, and we saw $9 put in by Trump, and then we saw $100 put in by Biden, because
I would say
again,
15 by Biden wouldn't be 100.
no. The investment into manufacturing construction is the highest it's been since World War II.
Okay,
Can you
just
wait?
because it's high now doesn't mean it can't be higher.
Okay. But for this analogy, we're talking literal money. Okay.
But
There was $100. There was $100 being
Where's your
put
shirt
in.
made right now? Where's all the jewelry made
That's
right
not
now?
relevant to the
Where's your
conversation.
examples. They're all other
A
countries.
$100 you're saying were put into World War II manufacturing, and then it went down over the years.
Where's your shirt made
Finally,
right now?
under that's not relevant to the conversation. I
Yeah,
don't give a
it is.
fuck.
I'm just saying, all our manufacturing's overseas, and we need to bring it
Yeah,
back
well,
to the
you're
States. In
ignoring the fact.
1990s,
You're
your shirt was
ignoring
made in
your
the
fuck,
US.
brother. You're fucking ignoring the fact that manufacturing went up under Obama. It did go down under Trump. You can blame COVID, but it did decrease before COVID, and then it went
Okay.
up under Biden. And then under Biden, we've seen
It
historic.
only went up
Wait.
because
We've also seen, in terms of the money, going back to your money analogy, the country, both public and private, is now putting the money back into construction. It's the highest since World War II. That $100 you were talking about, we're back at that.
So what happened? Let's just get this right. COVID happened. We had no jobs because of
Do you
COVID.
acknowledge that under Donald Trump, investment slightly went down? I'm not even talking about a
Yeah,
lot.
because of
It's
COVID.
like,
It makes sense.
no, not because of COVID. In the
I
first
mean, how many
2
people were out of
years,
jobs and had to get paid by a stipend?
in the
Like
first
almost every
2
American citizen that I
years-
know.
in the first 2 years of Donald Trump, manufacturing investment into construction went down slightly. Not a lot,
From Obama's
but
policies.
it went. No. Throughout the entire Obama administration, we saw manufacturing investment go up and manufacturing jobs go up. Under Donald Trump, in the first
He
2
kept
years
the
of his
same policies.
administration, we saw a decrease in manufacturing
Okay,
construction.
kept the same policies as Obama.
Maybe it's because people were confident. Maybe like after the Trump tax cut, these manufacturers were like, yeah, it does make more sense to, it would make us more money to build overseas. I don't know exactly the reasoning, but investment went down. And then in the years preceding that investment going down, no, before COVID,
after COVID.
no, before COVID, the years right before COVID, the jobs stagnated and slightly went down. Then it went down because of COVID like that. And then under Biden, we saw it go up.
Put in a lot of policies yet. He was
And
just
then-
starting as a president.
And then under Biden, we saw it spike back up. You can say some of that is recovery, and recovery is a good thing.
Most of it's recovery
You
because
know,
nobody had jobs.
recovery is a good thing, and the person steering the boat during recovery should probably get a little bit of praise for that.
I mean, I'm not saying
Because
it's
they were
bad,
they
but
were
he's-
saying to Biden some of
But
these
when you go
some of
from
these
nobody having a job
some of
to
these
just people coming
some of
back and
these
it just being normal.
but you're ignoring the fact that jobs continued to be created in manufacturing.
I
And you're
wouldn't say
ignoring
that.
the
It's just
fact.
everybody
Well,
recovered.
it doesn't matter what you gotta say. It's the literal fact. It's the literal fact.
It's just recovery. That's all it is.
No. If you were here and you go down here and you go back here and you go back here, those jobs here are not part of this downfall. And
If
the
you're
recovery,
healthy and you
Hold
can
on.
work,
brother,
then you
Brother.
get really sick and can't work, and then all
Brother.
of a sudden you get healthy again, and you
Brother.
can work again. It isn't
Brother.
really a plus.
brother, if there was a recession under COVID, manufacturing jobs go down here, then you recover and you're back to here, pre-COVID levels, and then you continue to make more jobs. Those jobs here, when you surpass the pre-COVID levels, are not bounce back jobs.
Oh yeah, and that were probably from
And
Trump's tariffs, because as we already
The-
talked about, it takes
well,
a while
I
for the
think
tariffs
it,
to
you know,
take
I
effect.
think it takes, again,
Because he
Donald
didn't
Trump did
pull
not do
back the
across the board tariffs. Donald Trump did
Biden
some
didn't get rid of the
some
tariffs that
specific
Trump made.
tariffs on things like steel, and I think it's fine to keep tariffs on things like steel during this
And
entire
he brought back
conversation.
jobs through Trump's tariffs.
And you're just ignoring investment directly from the government, like the CHIPS Act. You're ignoring
Because
the
of
fact
COVID,
that
Kevin.
the COVID caused the CHIPS Act.
No, Trump printed fortune more than Biden. We had to do a bunch of reparations, not
Wait,
reparations, but
wait,
we had to give a bunch
but-
of stipends and stuff.
Are you giving credit to Trump for the CHIPS Act? Because I specifically said the CHIPS Act was one of the things
I'm
where
not
we
talking about the
invested.
CHIPS Act.
Yeah. Okay. So the
Eh,
CHIPS
I
Act.
don't know enough to
the
talk
chi-
about it.
The CHIPS Act was a massive investment into chip manufacturing in the United States, which encouraged a broader investment into manufacturing in the United States. So there was the bounce back jobs, but there also was a gradual increase beyond the bounce back jobs. So stop giving credit.
But I actually gotta go.
Okay. All right.
It's
you
not
need
because,
to.
like, it's
You
not
need to.
'cause I'm-
I know, no problem, no problem. You just need to read up on economics. Thank you for your
Yeah,
time.
I don't know enough about the CHIPS Act to talk about it, so I can't
Alright.
really argue or talk bad or say good or anything.
No,
'Cause
no problem. No problem.
that's the truth. You can't speak about what you don't know, and that's not
Yeah, no
something I
problem.
know.
No problem. We're gonna move on now. Thank you for coming.
You have a great day.
You too. Whew. Economics are not that dude's strong suit. I can tell you that. Ken, you've been waiting for a while. I'm gonna put you in. Hello. No, I accepted it, but he's not in yet. Hold on. Come on, Ken. Come on, Ken. Yeah, let me respond to some of YouTube chat since I've been ignoring y'all a bit. You are insufferable, thank you. I was making nearly 48K with taxes on overtime to 29K after Biden administration, so I have no idea what this guy's on about. Well, much of the tax that we're feeling right now is the result of the Trump tax plan. It doesn't expire until 2026, so yeah. How were you 2016 through 2020? Feelings aren't facts. OMG, dude's a brick wall. Damn, this dude loves the sound of his own voice. Show a real graph. Lay off the Kool-Aid. Trump supporters don't like facts. True. All right, Ken. Folks, this guy Ken, who's loading in, he's not talking yet. Okay, he didn't stay. So if you disagree with what I gotta say, feel free to come on. All right, let me go read some of the TikTok chat. Childcare crisis, inflation, border crisis, Biden couldn't even complete a sentence. I'm curious what Donald Trump's going to do to fix childcare crisis particularly. That's super interesting because he was asked that. And he just responded with a long, rambling answer in the New York Economic Club, I believe. And he was talking, childcare is something you need. You actually really need childcare. It's really expensive, but actually, childcare is actually really small. And the tariffs, they're big. They're big. Hokage Hentai says, read my chats. Brother, I was reading YouTube chat for a second. I missed your chat. TikTok chat's moving a bit faster. Has to fix it. Biden shit up. What did Biden do to make childcare more expensive? I'm curious. You Democrats think you know everything. America has spoken. Kamala Harris lost against a felon. Yeah, shame that she did. She made a lot of mistakes. But we're not really talking about Kamala Harris. We're talking about Donald Trump and his policies. All right, let's scroll up since I missed a lot of messages. Hold on. Trump printed $4 trillion more than Biden. That's true. People say that shit about Trump sound like toddlers. You're lying. Cope. You're still live and still losing. For the last time, Kamala is not president material. She's a better person, not president. Kamala is not part of this conversation. Didn't hurt me his first term. Maybe you weren't paying attention. Maybe you're part of the top 1%. Because if you're part of the top 1%, this does not apply to you. I'm surprised you think. I'm surprised you are surprised Trump won. You don't think it was from Kamala defunding the police. I would like to see when she did that. Trump's presidency will be magnificent. I'm enjoying all the liberal tears. I mean, yeah, you can enjoy the liberal tears, but I don't think you'll enjoy the prices. All right, hold on. A lot of new messages are coming. I'm missing that. Tariffs worked the first time. Why do you think it's going to be any different? Ryan, tariffs, Donald Trump did not do across-the-board tariffs. And also, by the way, the trade deficit went up under Trump. It did. All right, hold on. Let's go off. I missed some stuff. Mainstream as well. Research, no bias journalists. You Democrats think you know everything. Okay. Hokage Hentai says I can cook you so fast. Hokage Hentai. Lovely name. Feel free to come on. Trade deficit went up, but our economy thrived, buddy. Donald Trump promised he would deal with the trade deficit. He said the tariffs would stop the trade deficit, but the trade deficit went up. All I'm pointing out is that he was full of shit in that regard. What are you talking about? AOC was all about defunding the police. Well, lucky for you, DJ Drift RC, AOC did not run for president. Stock market is soaring. I mean, the stock market was doing well under Biden. I really don't give a fuck about the stock market. How will he hurt me? Ask Hero of the Hour. He'll hurt you when he increases prices due to tariffs. The research says about $3,000, $4,000 a new cost. He'll hurt you when he does his tax plan, and his tax plan is also going to increase taxes on the bottom 95% of Americans and only cut taxes for the top 5%. So, yeah, that's going to hurt you. MAGA never defunded the police. It was only Democrats. In most places, you can find police budgets going up. So tell me where they defunded the police. Wrong. He will lower taxes on businesses and increase tariffs. Hokage Hentai, you said you would cook me. Come on to the stream, buddy. The request button is looking straight at you. You don't give a fuck about the stock market because you don't have any money in stocks. Yeah, I don't. You know, most Americans don't. The stock market is a much more top 1% kind of game, you know. Christian Perone says we're going to be sourcing our own energy. I'm curious who the top oil producer in the world is right now. I don't think you know that. Because we're the top oil producer in the world. Folks, if you disagree with my prompt, if you think Trump's going to help you, let's have a conversation. Feel free to come on to stream. Would you rather be stuck in the woods with a female cop or a bear? I don't understand. A female cop or something? Tariffs affect companies outside the U.S. Market determines prices and goods will be set here. You don't think tariffs affect American companies? That's very silly. Lower taxes on business will allow them to hire in USA. Wow, what a elementary understanding of taxes. We had more taxes on businesses back in the day and on rich people back in the day, and that led to that was the greatest expansion of the middle class. That was the 20th century, post-World War II, into the 50s, into the 60s, and so on. It was around the 80s that we went more towards neoliberalism with Ronald Reagan, and Donald Trump's a continuation of that. And that led to a massive increase in income inequality. That led to bigger recessions, like the recession in 08 and the recession that we saw under COVID. So that's no good. Mike Roman says, where's the join button? I don't have the perspective from a viewer, so I can't tell you that, but other people are able to do that, so I would encourage you to do it. Burn Knight in YouTube chat says, go back to YouTuber drama. This is just sad. Bun Knight. I like debating politics. I get to make whatever content I want. Goku 2024, someone says. And someone says, who the fuck is running against Goku? Raul says, check multi-guest. I have the guest thing pulled up. I don't see any guest requests right now. Guys, send in the guest request if you want to talk. Mike Roman, thanks for the follow. Also, by the way, thanks for the 10 people that followed in general. Appreciate it. Cindy Seal says, hurt me. Haha. Yeah, I mean, maybe you're top 1% and you will be benefited, but yeah. He probably doesn't work. He said he doesn't have any money in stocks, which means no 401k. Brother, most workers don't have money in stocks. I do have a job. I work in education. If you think most Americans are like they play around with the stock market, you'd be mistaken. I'm curious, how much percent of Americans invest? Share of Americans investing in stock market 1999 to 2024. Wait, hold on. Mike Hall says, wake up. What about giving billions to other countries? But not taking. Donald Trump's gonna give billions to Israel. I don't know what to tell you. He's pretty much promised he's gonna do that. He's promised he's gonna do that. Let me check YouTube chat. Who the fuck running against Goku? Still not talking about reality. Go holler at them, tough guy. Stocks are indicative of the economy. Stocks are indicative of the top 1%'s wealth. Clamoji, go debate. Yeah, people, if you disagree, go debate. It says you teach special ed. I don't first of all, but also, what is wrong with... You have a problem with people who teach special ed? This is the problem with MAGA, bro. Y'all hate workers, actually. This person says, Trump also broke the law, took money for other countries, and kept the majority to himself. The current administration is giving others billions to other countries. He wants to cut that off. He does not want to cut it off for Israel. Donald Trump is owned by Israel. Okay? I don't know what to tell you. Oh, let me check YouTube chat. Go debate, coward. Rivercraft says terrifying. Mike Rome says, it's okay, we lived through 4 years and we'll live through it again. We'll live through the next time, don't end. Yeah, I don't think the world's gonna end. Absolutely. Here. I wanted to do some fact checking for you guys. So a good amount of people do own stock. Probably through things like 401k and so on and so forth. But ultimately, half of all stock is owned by the top 1%. People can casually have money in stocks, but they're not the people really benefiting from a high market. The person says, how did Trump not win? They're asking another person. Pretty much every election in 2016 past was the same numbers. "2020 was the only year the vote count raised." Yes, if you say how much is owned, lol, but he has no idea how the stock market works and wants to debate policy and economics. Yeah, Mike, sure, I'll admit that I was wrong. People have things in the stock market through things like the 401k, but ultimately this top 1% own half of all stocks. The bottom 1% only actually own 1% of all stocks. So, yeah, regular people are not generally the guys benefiting from the stock market when people brag like, oh, record high stock markets. Joe Biden had very high stock markets. I don't usually talk about that as his achievements. Christiana says Trump won because people care about themselves. I want to be fair here. There's a lot of people with economic concerns, and that's why they vote for Trump, right? They're like, they think inflation's bad, and so on and so forth. The only thing is Donald Trump's going to make inflation worse. The tariffs are going to make everything more expensive, $3,000, $4,000 a new cost. So they wanted change. It was an anti-incumbency election. People weren't really voting for Trump as much as they were voting against Biden, and Kamala kind of represented Biden. So yeah. Ryder says, do you think the stock market might be rigged? Yeah, absolutely. The stock market, the way it is very much made for the top 1% to benefit the most. Kevin says inflation is good at 1.5 to 2%. Yeah, I think that's the target number of inflation. Robbie says tariffs aren't gonna do shit. You want to know why Tarify are good? Robbie, feel free to come onto the stream and we can have a conversation about tariffs. Let's check YouTube chat. Guys, I think he's being foolish as well, but it's better to state rebuttals than from information. He's completely wrong, but insults save nothing, or insults consultants. Coward, read the points that made that. Cowards, read the points made that prove you to be a fool. Go get on it then. Cooked the books to speak. The destruction of Abraham Accords is another one you can bring up. I don't give a fuck about the Abraham Accords. I don't give a fuck about the Abraham Accords. Abraham Accords, what does that have to do with anything? I'm assuming you're talking about like Israel foreign policy. Folks, if you disagree, come on to the stream. If you disagree on YouTube chat, you gotta come on to TikTok to join the stream. Explain to MAGA why we need low numbers. Explain to MAGA about why we need low number than 0 or negative. Read this. Please read this. Is that related to inflation? Trump won, stop crying. Ricky, I'm here in the marketplace of ideas. I want to hear from Trump supporters. That's all. Tariffs are going to be weird, but more manufacturing in the United States is a good thing. We have more manufacturing under Biden. We have historic highs in manufacturing investment under Biden. What you're going to do is make raw materials more expensive. They're talking about removing the CHIPS Act, which is going to take money out, like $50 billion out of investing in manufacturing construction. You're going to make the market less confident in putting money into manufacturing, and you're going to make a labor shortage if you do mass deportations with Donald Trump. He's not going to really increase manufacturing if I were to bet. Robbie says tariffs are going to bring manufacturers back to the U.S. I explained to you the reasons. That's probably not going to happen. If you disagree with what I said, though, you guys can come on. We don't need to campaign anymore. You lost. Yeah, I'm just interested in talking about the ideas. Irina says, I can't afford life under the Biden administration. The Trump administration is going to make you miss the Biden administration. Not going to lie. Sorry, my bad. Explain to MAGA how low percentage from 1.5 to 2% is better than 0. Yeah, I mean, in general, you know, there's a sort of balance when it comes to raising wages and inflation. Inflation has happened naturally over the years, even without things like supply chain crises or pandemics. Generally, what you want to do is keep real wages going up with it. And the problem that we have, though, over the years is that real wages have often been stagnant. You get what I'm saying? Inflation only spiked under Biden, really? I didn't know Biden was the king of the fucking world. Because it was everywhere. It'll be a lot better. I had money in my savings under Trump. I'm sure you'll be spending a lot more on things when the tariffs increase prices. So I don't know if you'll really be getting your savings back. I'm going to keep it real. Deke says it's not going to bring manufacturing back. Companies save way more than 20% on manufacturing overseas, meaning we will have tariffs and we won't get our manufacturing back. Yeah, I mean, there's really not much incentivizing investing into manufacturing growth in America. You're just kind of making the whole economy much more unstable and much less likely to actually invest in the physical construction of buildings, the factories. The version says Jimmy Carter was terrible and the country went red for almost 2 decades. That's Biden today. I don't know why you're bringing up Jimmy Carter to this conversation. Tariffs only affect hard goods like your flat screen TVs. Tariffs affect raw materials that are imported into the country. You're acting like he wasn't president before. Yeah, his first term was ass. Michael, you're talking mad shit from the chat, bro. Come on to the stream. Because Carter ducked like Biden. Because Jimmy Carter was the last president to have this kind of inflation. Again, we're talking about the future, folks. Donald Trump wants to do tariffs, which is going to increase prices, which is going to make this inflation that we saw in 2020, 21, and 22 look like a joke. You have to explain how he was a bad president with facts. Yeah, sure. He promised to bring back the manufacturing jobs. He didn't. He promised to get rid of the bad trade deals. He didn't. He said NAFTA and TPP were bad, but then he did the USMCA, which was just NAFTA with provisions from the TPP. So he just combined the two things that he said was bad. He said he was going to do infrastructure. He didn't. He did Infrastructure Week. Made in America Week. It was symbolic. It was not a plan. Right? He said he was going to change the wars. He didn't like Iraq, but he continued our military intervention in Iraq and Afghanistan. He bombed Syria. He increased drone strikes 432%. He supported a genocide in Yemen. You think supporting a genocide in Yemen is good? I don't. Josh, just because you talk fast doesn't make you right or smart. I'm just saying the facts out here. If saying the facts out here is upsetting you, I don't know. That's on you. But feel free to come on to the stream, guys. You have opinions. I see your opinions. Let's have a conversation. Well, now he got all 3 branches. Now he can get to work. He doesn't necessarily have the House yet. We'll see what happens there. But, yeah, if he gets to work and does tariffs, it's going to fuck you up. That's unfortunate. He was so bad for the economy, most Democrats voted for him this election. Most Democrats didn't vote. You didn't see a massive flip of Democratic voters from, like, 2020. You just saw a decrease in Democratic turnout. You saw the incumbent. You saw Donald Trump's turnout also decrease slightly. You're literally speaking conjecture at best. You literally all your talking points have been debunked. Josh, or excuse me, John. Prove it. Prove it. It was fine the last time he was president. Was it fine that he increased the deficit higher than any other president before him did? Doesn't matter what you tell most people. What tell the people? He went after. Well, yeah. I mean, his base, like MAGA itself, is not necessarily satisfied with facts, but you know. JL Lifts is still watching. We need you to go up and debate him. Yeah, Mike. Honestly, I would do it if I was not in bed. Okay. You got a green card. No, I was born here. Trump actually got more votes this year than 2020. What are you talking? I'm curious. I'm curious. 2020 election. I'm just curious. Last time I checked, and it is still updating, it was like just below it. Oh, okay, credit to you. You're right. I was looking at it from a couple days ago. That was what I was sourcing it. But also, it seems that I didn't realize this. Kamala got to 70 million. I thought she was stuck at 66 million. Credit to her. Yes, I was going off numbers from like post-election day. You read YouTube chat. Sorry, YouTube chat. I keep ignoring you. Let's see here. Withholding evidence to keep people in prison would exonerate individuals to use sexual relationships. No, she. When I read that she used sexual relationships, she had a boyfriend that had already been divorced for years. Come on. You said it yourself. You don't care about the Abraham Accords. Yeah, I don't. It was pretty much a glorified trade deal. Alright, I'm going to start blocking every single one of you guys. The denial is real. What? Denial of what? Bitcoin. It's all about Bitcoin. What's about Bitcoin in particular? Maggie, do you remember how Trump's tariffs on washing machines increased $100 under Trump? Yeah, I think there was actually tariffs specifically on washing machines. I'm not a full expert on that specific tariff, but... SMH says her brother was her boyfriend. Keep lying? Okay. Again, you guys are very serious people. But you keep focusing on Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris lost. So we're focusing on the future with Donald Trump. Folks, I see some new people joining. If you disagree with this point of view, feel free to come on and let's have a conversation. What do you think about Trump winning the Electoral College by a lot and the popular vote? I mean, he won. He won where he needed to win. He got pretty similar numbers in the popular vote to how he did in 2020. Slightly up. It's 95% counted. And the big story, in my opinion, was the fact that Democrats lost a ton of votes. In the sense that Democratic voters didn't come out. Now the question is, why? It's because they ran a pretty shitty campaign. They didn't control the narrative. Anti-incumbency was kind of the trend this year in pretty much every country in the West, except Mexico. And you know what Mexico had that we didn't? An actual populist. An actual leftist. An AMLO. And AMLO had, on his own accord, done a recall election just to see, hey, you don't like me, you can recall me. And what happened? He was supported by the people. He got the people's mandate. And then this year there was an election in Mexico and his successor won. So, when you actually have a plan and a message, it increases your chances of winning. Kamala Harris ran a bad campaign. Exactly, Democrats have to remember that. You are correct, same as Hillary. Why are you talking about Mexico? I'm just comparing the elections. Mexico was the only country in the West for the incumbent party to succeed in its election. Every other country in the West either decreased or the incumbent lost. Leftists have been paying the CIA and FBI to censor speech from conservatives. Really? All right. Yet you voted for someone that ran a bad campaign? Yeah, because you have better policies. I vote on policy. But of course I can criticize the Republicans, or excuse me, the Democrats for running a bad campaign. I can criticize the fact that they have this sort of toxic, elitist aesthetic and vibe to them that in a time where people are struggling wasn't exactly winning campaign material. Right? So I can criticize my own party. I would love to see a Republicans criticize Trump. That would be nice. That would be nice. But they don't. User 1966565143269 says horrible policies. Buddy, come on to stream and let's have that conversation. Can't wait till Trump lifts economic sanctions on Eastern Europe and the cost of living drops. I'm actually perplexed by that statement, Dom. I'm actually fascinated by it. So if he removes sanctions on, say, like a Russian oligarch, the Russian oligarchy, how the fuck does that lower prices for Americans? Just tell me how does removing sanctions on Russia affect the fucking cost of housing here? Are you serious? Are you dumb? That's insane. That's genuinely insane. Hold on. I've been missing messages. My bad. Imagine having to use government agencies and funds to censor your political opponent and to think. Mike, the biggest podcast in America are like right-wing podcasts, okay? Donald Trump and Joe Rogan got to jerk each other off. Same with J.D. Vance and then Elon Musk. Elon Musk owns Twitter. There is no right-wing censorship. There's no right-wing censorship. If you think the FBI and CIA are censoring you're schizophrenic. You have psychosis. Maybe not schizophrenia, but you've allowed yourself to get sort of man-made artificial psychosis. Use Google! Use Google! The biggest podcasts are right-wing. You're not being censored. There was a lot on Twitter until Elon bought it. There's a terms of service on privately owned websites, and turns out that white supremacists break rules and then they get banned. Meanwhile, under Elon Musk, he unbans people like Nick Fuentes, right? Dom says it affects the cost of oil. The cost of living runs through oil, bro. Sit back and enjoy. We produce the most oil in the world, man. We're the number one producers in the world. Russia still produces a ton of oil. Saudi Arabia still produces a ton of oil. Even Zuckerberg admitted to doing this exact thing before the election started. Are you talking about the Hunter Biden dick pics, which is literal revenge porn, which is why it was initially censored? Or the article was somewhat suppressed? But ultimately, I guarantee you that wouldn't have changed the situation for that election. In 2024, it was an anti-incumbency election. People weren't satisfied with what's going on. 2020 was also pretty similar. The reason why Democrats lost a ton of votes is because they were not necessarily consistent voters. They were voters that came out against Trump in 2020. And because the economy was bad, they didn't like his presidency, there was an economic crisis going on as well, and a global pandemic, so on and so forth. They had their reasons, right? But this time around, a lot of them just didn't come out because they were not satisfied with how the current administration's handling things. It's an anti-incumbency thing. Folks, if you want to debate this issue, if you disagree with anything I'm saying on this stream, feel free to come on. There's 40 of you watching on TikTok Live, and 17 of you watching on YouTube Live. YouTube viewers, you got to come on to my TikTok, TheNathanGalang Live, and we can have that debate. Here, let me show this to you for the YouTube viewers, if you guys can see this clearly. I'm looking at the YouTube stream to see. TikTok guys, you can't see this. You see this? The Nathan Galang live, okay? Not the Nathan Galang, the Nathan Galang live. You say Trump will hurt us. What's the biggest thing we will hurt? Well, directly, if he gets to do the tariffs that he's promising he'd do, that he's been really enthusiastic about, it's going to raise prices on literally everything. Tariffs across the board for both friendly nations and hostile nations. It's going to add a new $3,000 to $4,000 new annual cost to the country. That's pretty bad. CJ2K, it's not even a debate. He just yap and don't let anyone talk. Well, I interrupt people saying wrong things. You know? World War III, how much would that cost? This is pointless. World War III. Do you think Donald Trump's a dove? I would love to have a conversation about Donald Trump's foreign policy. Iceman Dawson is spamming. I don't really mind that. It's good engagement. Keeps the stream up a little bit, you know? They got tired of being condescended to and made to feel stupid by elitist Democrats. Yeah, I agree that Democrats have a image problem. But this election wasn't about that. It wasn't about being condescended to. It was about they didn't feel confident in the economy and they wanted something different. That's it. That's literally it. Trump 2024, a clearly nonpartisan account, I can't tell what his political affiliations are, says everything you say is a lie. CJ2K says I was spitting nothing but facts and you was talking over me last. I don't even remember who you are. Okay. Fraudmala was gonna start World War III. Trump is like, CJ2K, feel free to come on, brother. If we talked before, let's have a conversation. Am I able to send invites? Because I'm curious who you are. Because your name is actually somewhat familiar. I would check the YouTube to see who you are, but my phone has the YouTube stream. I would check the other YouTube stream, but I can't do that right now. CJ2K, you should come on. I'm sending an invite. I realize you can send invites to guests. I didn't even know this. CJ2K, come on. Let's have a conversation. Okay? You said Kamala's going to start World War III or whatever. That's a fun thing to talk about. Hello. What's up? So, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Right?
Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Right, so, what, Trump's a peacemaker or something?
Yeah, I mean, don't you think it's kind of crazy how Trump won the election and Putin's already talking about ending the war in Ukraine?
Well, we'll see. I mean, Putin, what, will Putin pull out his, will Putin, like,
it's gonna happen.
Okay. So Putin's gonna, like, pull out his military, give back Ukrainian land to Ukraine? You there, buddy?
Putin. Do you?
Hello?
I don't know.
Hello?
I don't know what the plan is.
Wait, hello? You kind of cut out there. There was a coffee cup over your profile picture. So Putin's gonna surrender in the war, bring back his troops, give Ukraine back its land?
I mean, I don't know, but he's talking about ending the war in Ukraine, so.
Yeah, so is he gonna give back Ukrainian land or not?
I don't have that answer. I don't think anyone
Because, I mean,
does.
words are words, but, you know.
So I just have one question for you. What's going to happen when ends the war in Ukraine? What are you going to say next?
Wait, you went away for a second. You cut out for a second.
Oh, yeah, I can say it again. What are you going to say when Putin ends the war in Ukraine? What's the
I would
next
love to
thing?
see it. I'll give credit where credit's due.
What would
like,
you say? Like when...
If he's like, yeah, this war, you know what? Peace is great, guys. War is bad, and Ukraine, sorry, here's your land back. Let's let bygones be bygones and move on. I'd give credit. That'd be a wonderful thing.
You agree? So you would give credit on TikTok Live to him if he did that?
Yeah, if he surrendered and gave his land back, and gave
you
the
give
land
credit
back.
to Trump for that? You give credit to Trump?
Yeah, if it gets done. But I get the sense that a country that has been involved in a war and invading another country would not be so eager to give up its land that it gained in that conflict, right?
Hey,
So,
look at what
I
Felipe
mean,
said in your chat. That's exactly what I'm talking
why
about.
are you doubting
No
the
new
one
wars.
president that had no new wars? I'm curious what was happening in Yemen.
Dude, that was before his. I'm talking about
Yeah,
from his time he
well,
stepped foot in office until
he
he left.
supported wars. He increased drone strikes 435%. He increased
There were
civilian
no.
deaths. He removed a lot of the checks and balances when it came to drone strikes. You know, that doesn't really give Dove vibes. If you're already currently at war and you don't start a new war, I mean, congratulations, right?
I mean,
But
yeah,
you're still a
that's a good thing.
warmonger.
That's a good thing, right?
You're still a warmonger when you support a genocide, right? In Yemen.
I mean, just because the war was started under a different administration does not mean.
And then he supported it.
He didn't. Okay, I'm not even.
He did it. How did he not do it? I mean, tell me, did he not send them weapons?
Hey, bro. I'm not really here to argue, man. But to be
So he didn't send them weapons, or did he send them
bro,
weapons to do the genocide?
I don't talk. I know you have like your way of thinking, and that's never gonna
No,
change.
you just don't know, and you want to pretend he's a dove, and he supported the genocide.
I know he's not a dove. Trump is not a dove.
Okay,
He's not.
good. We can agree on
He's
that.
not. Yeah, he's bro.
Yeah, so he's a
No one's
warmonger,
perfect. Like he's not perfect
and
by any means.
he also wants to let Israel go off its quote-unquote chain. I don't really think it was on much of a chain under Biden, but he's saying that Biden held Israel back, so I don't see him making the Israeli-Palestinian situation much more peaceful, right? So yeah, definitely not a dove, definitely not the peace guy that some Trump supporters say he is.
But
Yeah.
he's not gonna have any. He's not gonna have any new wars under his administration in these next 4 years, though. I bet.
I mean, he did kill an Iranian general when he was president. He bombed them, and it was a high-ranking member of the government. The only reason a war didn't be
threat.
You don't bomb other leaders' countries just casually, right? Like we can have a
repercussion for that.
Yeah, I mean, Iran could have declared war, but they held back. So I'm curious if you were just told, like, let's say the high-ranking official of the Communist Party of China, if we just blew him up and we would not have a war started, would you support just like blowing them up? Like I don't think that's that's not how foreign policy fucking works. Okay, like would you support like Saddam Hussein? I don't know, blowing up all the Congress members that supported the Iraq War if he knew like they were gonna do it. Like if he had like a crystal ball and he could see they were gonna invade Iraq, so I'm just gonna blow up every single member of Congress that supported this invasion of my country.
No, it's just funny how you like whenever I say something, you go into hypotheticals. That would never happen.
No, because well, I mean, I'm questioning your principles. You just said you can kill world leaders if there's no repercussions.
Who are a threat to our country.
You could just kill world leaders if yeah, all right, even at risk of starting a war. Now we know it didn't. But if someone did that to us, we would start a war. If you do that to most countries, they would start a war. So he risked starting a war there. He's talked about bombing in Mexico. He supported a genocide. He let Sheldon Adelson write his Israel foreign policy in the first term. He's going to let his widow write the foreign policy now. And they're talking about taking the West Bank, giving it to Israel. Invasion, killing, not good. In Gaza, he's saying that they were held back by Biden when they really weren't, but apparently that's going to get worse, right? So, yeah, I mean, he's a bloodthirsty warmonger, and I guess we come to a point of agreement.
Who, Trump? You said Trump is a bloodthirsty warmonger?
Yeah, when you support genocide, I think that's a cope. That's a pretty accurate.
Yo, that's funny, bro. You funny.
So you don't mind supporting genocide? It's cool. It's funny.
Nah, I just think that you're
okay. Well, there's some people waiting. I'm not talking about hypothetical. There is people waiting, and I'm not talking about a hypothetical. Do you know what the war in Yemen is?
You funny, bro. You and your hypothetical.
You're a waste of time.
Democrat hypothetical.
Wait. Can you define a hypothetical real quick?
Like when you take a situation and then just completely like twist it into a way where like it has nothing to do with what we were talking about, like at all.
First of all, that's not
Literally
what
nothing
hypothetical
at all.
means. Second of all,
I mean, I was kind of bringing it into like
second
an
of
example
all,
though, like
second
where
of
you
all.
literally twist everything. You literally twist everything.
So
And
when
you make them
Bernie
into these
Sanders
examples.
and Mike Lee, a Republican, a conservative, sent Trump a bill from Congress, got support from Congress, to stop supplying weapons to Saudi Arabia committing a genocide, and Donald Trump vetoed it, is that a hypothetical, or is that literally what just happens in the real world?
Well, if what you're telling me is true, because I really don't believe half the shit you be saying, but if it is true, then no,
Yeah,
it
well,
would
it's
be a
true.
hypothetical.
And so you support Donald Trump doing that?
Did I say that?
Well, you're just pretending like it didn't happen and you're supporting the guy. And I'm telling you it happened and you're rejecting reality. So, next people, there's people up. So, good job. All right. Who was waiting here? Dylan, you've been waiting, so I'll put you in. Dylan Erickson, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, buddy. What's up?
I am a Trump supporter.
Okay. What's on your mind? What's your disagreement?
The reason I voted for Trump is because everything, the inflation, the border, everything like that.
So starting with inflation, when people look at his tariffs plan, they're saying it's going to increase cost annually on everybody, about $3,000 to $4,000. That's going to be artificially inflationary. It's not going to make things cheaper for the rest of us. That's concerning, right?
It is, but when he was in office, to own a house, you had to at least make $70,000 a year. Now you have to make, what was it, like $170,000 now?
Housing has been going up for a long time. But again, he won't be fixing that if he makes even the most basic construction of housing a much more expensive process.
True.
Yeah. I care about the cost too, and unfortunately Donald Trump's going to make things more expensive. That's why the prompt here is the Trump presidency will hurt you. It's not just you, it's me, it's everybody that isn't part of the top 1%, you know? Yeah, I'm assuming you're not top 1%.
Yeah, but also it would be the same thing under Kamala.
Well, Kamala Harris was not proposing tariffs that would increase the cost $3,000 to $4,000.
Yeah, but like she would make anything cheaper? No.
Well, inflation is down. Inflation and wages are up. I would assume there would be a continuation of that trend in a more positive direction. Ultimately, she's not president, though, and she's not going to be president. And Donald Trump is the nominee, and he's making a promise that is essentially guaranteeing an increase in prices and a reversal of the trend, which was that inflation was going down.
Okay, on to my next subject.
Yeah.
The border. She was letting how many illegal immigrants?
She did not
15,000 a
personally
day?
have responsibility over the border. She supported a right-wing border bill, which I personally am not a big fan of. My approach to immigration is to make the system more efficient so that people are less incentivized to cross illegally, and that people that are wanting to work, ready to work, can work and not face threat of deportation. So I actually disagree with Kamala Harris
What they
on
should do, they should be able to make immigration easier to get into the country legally, but
Yes.
also make it to where they still have to do the citizenship test like everybody else. But they should make it easier process, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no. Well, I think we're actually in agreement here. I think, one of the issues with illegal immigration is that our system incentivizes illegal immigration, and we need to reform that. Unfortunately, the problem with Donald Trump is he's not really interested in dealing with the root causes of immigration or illegal immigration. He's interested in doing mass deportations. Stephen Miller, who's an advisor of his, has talked about denaturalization. So we're not just even talking about undocumented people anymore. We're talking about naturalized citizens. And yeah, I think that's horrible. There was a right-wing publication, Reason, that's the publication, and they're not liberal, they're not progressive at all, but they find the mass deportation plan to be horribly immoral from just like a rights perspective, from like a humanity perspective, but also extremely expensive.
They're more like conservative.
Yeah, they are more conservative. They're a conservative paper, and they also mentioned how the mass deportation would cause massive labor shortages, which would also make things more expensive, separately from the tariffs. But if they're done together, it would be quite the mess of a combination.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
that's
I'm
what
glad
I
we
just
agreed,
wanted
though.
to come on and say. Yeah. I
Yeah.
didn't want to have like an argument. I just wanted to say what was on my mind and shit like that.
Hey, brother, I appreciate you, man. You see, this conversation we disagreed, but we agreed on certain things. We agree that like the immigration process should be more efficient. I think
Yeah,
most
and
people
we're
agree.
also not coming at each other's throats being like, "Oh, no, this that," and shit like that.
Exactly. And I think that you got the right intentions, right, in your thought process, and I think that that's a good thing to have. But
Yes, and I just have to do a little bit more research too and stuff like that.
yes, sir. It's always good to do. All right. Well,
But no, nice talking to you, and I'll probably join you on your next live.
hey, feel free to follow. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Just
man.
did. Have a good night.
You too, sir. Appreciate you.
Peace.
You see, guys, that was a pleasant conversation. That's how it should be. Now, of course, it's not always going to be that way. Sometimes you have debates, and the blood sports is fun. But I think some people, it's a good skill to know when you're talking to somebody and you can have a pleasant conversation with them, you know? That's a good thing. In YouTube chat, I missed a lot of the YouTube chat messages. Guys, if you want to come on to and debate me, feel free to go on TikTok, TheNathanGalang Live. Name a thing Trump did for you. He increased the deficit. That's a Midwest goodbye. Yes, that was a very Midwest goodbye. Random Dude says, hi. Hello, Random Dude. Jake Jimenez says, Kamala voter. Yes, I did vote for Kamala Harris. All right, one person in. Let's put him in. Trump
hello?
with a V. Interesting. Hello.
Indeed. Yeah,
All right,
you know.
what's up?
You mentioned something earlier about Ukraine.
Yeah.
That the only way we could win is, what was it? That if Putin cedes all his land back.
Well, that would be the best way. I'm sure that's the way that the Ukrainians want to see it. But I'm
Yeah.
sure I really doubt the Russians would want to do that.
No, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I think at this point Ukraine's kind of cooked. Either
Yeah,
way.
potentially. I could actually also see it's being floated around that Donald Trump is gonna. I don't know if this guy's a congressman or a senator, but this guy is like a kind of like a big pro-Ukraine guy, and Donald Trump might be putting him as his the guy in charge of Department of Defense.
I haven't heard any news about that.
Yeah, this
Granted,
guy.
I've been kind of busy with school and work, so it's kind of like a little hard to keep up with everything. But
Yeah, that's understandable. This guy apparently also, there's a picture of him being held back when, Matt Gaetz got rid of the Speaker of the House, McCarthy, and this dude was apparently so mad that another representative was holding him back. So, ideally, for me
Gotcha.
at least, I do support Ukraine, so hopefully we continue to see support for Ukraine. Ukraine also might be cooked because Trump might pull out support. We'll see. I don't know.
well, I think even with economic support from the U.S., they're still cooked. Just on the simple basis of numbers. We could just look at the population of Ukraine and Russia, the resources Russia has over Ukraine, and
Oh, wait, hold
Russia
up. Your audio
exceeds,
got muffled a little
Ukraine
bit.
by far in both. What was
Wait,
that?
hold up. Your audio got muffled a little bit there.
Oh, do you hear me now?
Is there something on top of your mic?
Oh, what about now?
Sorry, you got a little bit more muffled. Okay, wait. Now you sound clear. Now it's good. Now it's
Okay,
good.
okay, I gotcha. Yeah, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, with Russia and Ukraine, Russia has just so much more people and so much more natural resources than Ukraine. I don't think it matters how much money, which I think it's 175 billion last I checked.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that.
It's
to be sent to
actually an
Ukraine.
interesting conversation to have. I was on somebody else's TikTok live. It was a Trump supporter's TikTok live, and he wasn't even speaking. He was letting the other Trump supporters argue, and we got into this conversation about Ukraine. Now, it was real hard to talk about it because the guy got, like, really angry and didn't really understand the analogy. But he was saying, like, it's impossible for Ukraine to win the war unless NATO were to, like, put boots on the ground and, you know, I'm going to steal man his argument about, because he was kind of yelling, right? He wasn't really making great points, but pretty much you need NATO on the ground, and it's not going to happen under Trump, under Biden, whoever, right? But I was making a point I feel like is relevant. I don't think it's impossible for Ukraine to succeed in defending their country. Let's say a good comparison is this. Afghanistan has fought two superpowers within the last 40 years and won both conflicts. You know, they were fighting the Soviet Union in the 80s, and they were fighting the U.S. in the 2000s. In both cases, the U.S. and the Soviet Union completely overpowered them. Was a much bigger size and population and strength and wealth and money and literally everything. And in both cases, the insurgent groups fighting the two superpowers were both light infantry, pretty much. They did not have a sophisticated military whatsoever. Ukraine has a much more sophisticated military, has a lot more equipment, has a lot more money, has a lot more organization. It's not an easy conflict, and if Russia, say, got through all of Ukraine and essentially annexed it, they would still probably have to deal with an insurgency that would be costly, similar to how it was when we were fighting the Taliban, similar how it was when the Soviet Union was fighting the Mujahideen. Pretty much, when it comes to statements like who's getting cooked or not, we never know, actually. So, like, we just never know.
So I would respond with the war in Afghanistan versus the war in Ukraine's a little bit different. Firstly,
Definitely.
Afghanistan's a very mountainous place, doesn't have many natural resources, plus the insurgents fighting in Afghanistan were not just powered by nationalist fervor, but religious fervor too, specifically, radical Islamic, jihadi, sort of
I
viewpoints, which
agree.
I don't know if
There's
I don't know if you ever
differences.
debated any.
No,
Yeah.
there's
I don't know if you ever
differences
debated
for
any,
sure.
Muslims.
There's
Yeah,
differences
and I
for
don't
sure,
think Putin's
and
goal-
but the thing
Yeah.
is
So
the
let me-
Ukrainians
let
are
me-
just
let
in a
me-
much
let me-
better
let me finish the
position.
point first. No, I would actually disagree with that. I think at this point, both sides are obviously entrenched in, right? And it's
Yeah.
essentially a meat grinder of where each side's throwing thousands upon thousands of troops at the other. The thing is, Ukraine has less troops,
Of course.
than the Russians. And
But in some
ultimately
ways, with the
speaking,
Western equipment, they
you
got
just do
more
the
advanced
math.
equipment. But at the end of the day, like
Yeah, but the equipment's not gonna-
the front line has barely
equipment's not gonna matter.
barely moved. Besides the Ukrainians pushing into Russia at some point. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go to
Yeah,
Moscow.
they took. I
but,
know they took.
But at the end
they
of the
took
day,
some,
like
they took
Russia,
some land, but that's not
Russia,
gonna
while
matter
it
in
has
the
a lot of
long term.
advantages,
And
does not have really what it takes for long-term success. So, but I am,
No,
you know,
I
there
would-
is
I would,
the prompt
let
here,
me-
which is Trump's presidency will hurt the American people. We can probably get into that rather than the nuances of war.
Well, the reason why I'm bringing up Ukraine is I think right now the current policy with Ukraine, at least under Biden, has definitely hurt the American people. That's $175 billion that could have been used for infrastructure, potentially paying off the national debt, which I don't think is solvable at this point because of Medicare and Social Security. Nobody's gonna get rid of those, right?
Yeah, we can't
But
get rid
either
of
way,
that.
at 175.
But we had Medicare and
175
Social
billion.
we had Medicare and Social Security in a surplus under Bill Clinton. That's not like tremendous praise for Bill Clinton, but that's just that was the fact of the matter. Yeah, when it comes to what we're spending in Ukraine, yeah, sure, we're spending a decent amount of money, but ultimately it's like a fraction of what we actually spend on the military like every single year. So it really is not that relevant to the grand scheme of things. When it comes to investing in infrastructure,
totally relevant.
Biden did invest in infrastructure. You know, we can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time.
Yeah, what about
And,
FEMA
yeah.
running out of money?
Yeah, we should invest more money into FEMA. It's not
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Ukraine
and
is stopping
FEMA
us from doing that. If you have a complaint
Literally,
about
FEMA cited.
if you have a complaint
Yeah,
about
you
if
can
you have a
look at the
complaint
statements from FEMA.
if you have a complaint about the FEMA funding, you should be talking about the folks in Congress that decide that in the annual budget, right?
Yeah,
I agree. We should
instead gave
have
that
more.
money to
We should
Ukraine.
have more disaster relief.
Yeah,
We already do
I'm glad we
deficit.
can both
We
agree on
already
that.
do
I'm
deficit
glad we
spending.
can both agree on that.
We already do
Yeah,
deficit
spending
spending.
is not gonna change under whoever is president just because of the Social
Oh, well,
Security
it
and,
does. It
Medicare.
does. We had a surplus under Bill Clinton. The deficit went down under Obama. It went up under Trump. and it went down
Yeah,
under
but
Biden.
with how large Social Security and Medicare are, especially Social Security, just because the
Yeah, well,
population is naturally aging,
we
there's
had
more people.
Social Security, and we had a surplus. So
Yeah, well, we had a surplus under Bill Clinton when the population was naturally younger. Now the population is naturally older. It's going to keep getting older with the lower birth rates in America.
we also have
There's gonna be more
the
people
difference
under
between
Social
us and
Security,
the difference between
because
us
of,
and like places in Europe and Asia is that we actually have immigration, and immigration allows for
Europe has a
working.
lot of immigration.
Yeah.
What are you talking
But
about?
we have not in every single place in Europe, right? Some places are really struggling with their population when it comes to supporting your social safety net. For America, we have a decent flow of immigration, and we'll always, at this point, have a young working population to support the social safety net.
I mean,
we don't
respectfully, have you not paid attention?
we don't have a situation. We don't have a situation
let me
where
make the point.
let
me make the point at least.
you're making the point about
Let me make
Social
the point at
Security.
least.
We don't have a situation.
No. You brought up earlier claiming that Europe doesn't have a steady stream of immigration. That's just not true at all.
Some
I mean, you look at
places
the past
and
10 years.
We're talking about
Western
Social
Europe
Security.
specifically,
We're talking about Social
which has the
Security.
lowest birth rates in Europe.
We're talking about Social Security.
have received
And
a massive
with
amount of
Social
immigration.
Security, you were warning that we're not going to be able to pay for it because people are going to get older. There's an interesting graph when you look at sort of the age breakdown. Now, when it's sort of like this sort of mushroom shape, that means you have more older people than you have younger working people. America does not have that problem. China artificially created that problem with like the one-child policy. Japan kind of naturally got that problem, but we don't because we still have immigration. So I'm not really worried about how we fund Social Security.
And the thing with immigration is that with immigrants who are coming into the U.S., Pat Buchanan talks about in his book in Death of the West. Is that these immigrants who come in, they then adapt American cultures and then have lower birth rates as a result.
Yeah, well, we haven't really had a population problem of decreasing young workers.
No, but this is programmed.
And plus,
the UN,
especially with
the World Economic Forum, basically all the big global organizations do agree
especially
that
with climate
overall
change, we're going to continue getting
shrinkage is going to happen. Excuse me, population shrinkage is going to happen.
Well, maybe for other countries, but we'll see it for America. Because
it's going to be worldwide.
I think
it's
especially
be an economic crash.
Especially in the global South, we're going to see definitely a decrease in population as certain areas of the world become less livable and there are climate refugees. But for America, we're always going to be a destination for people to go. We've been at this for over 10 minutes.
Not necessarily.
And I kind of want to end streaming soon, and there's somebody waiting in guest request, and I want to fulfill their request. So, yeah. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate you.
Sure. Have a good one.
All right. So, Dino D, you're coming on.
Hello?
Dino, what's up?
Hi.
What's on your mind, buddy?
All right, so I am not a Trump supporter, but my parents are.
Yeah, okay.
And I don't know, I just don't feel like I don't know. It's kind of complicated, but like I don't dislike them, you know. I love my parents. They're great people, you know. But I just disagree with them on that personally, you know.
Yeah.
And I just don't really know how to express that without like trying to be rude or anything, cuz I don't want to be rude, you know.
Yeah, you know, it's very difficult when it's your own family, right? My family is pretty aligned with my views. I was actually kind of more the one to shape the views of my family. I don't come from a particularly political family, right?
Yeah.
In your case, I don't know if like your parents are like real like we love Donald Trump MAGA types, or they're just like, well, this economy sucks and we're blaming Biden. Trump says he's gonna fix it, so we're gonna go with him.
Well, all right. So so like my grandparents are the first one, and then my parents are the second one.
Yeah. Okay. It's gonna be harder to convince your grandparents, you know. And generally, when sometimes at times when you're with family, it feels like not really talking about politics is kind of the way sometimes. But I can only recommend when you're talking to conservative in general, including your own family, you just talk with respect. But even with respect is not exclusive to firmness and directness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've run for office before. I've talked with conservatives in the real world. You know what I mean? And a lot of times they ask you questions like, "What's your political party?" And you can kind of tell sometimes, "Oh, this person's a conservative. I don't think they're gonna really like hearing that I'm a Democrat." But you just got to be honest with them. Be like, "Look, I'm a Democrat." You can frame things in ways they like it. I'm a Democrat like Franklin Roosevelt or JFK. Everybody loves JFK. They don't realize that JFK is much closer to Bernie Sanders than any Republican or Democrat today, pretty much. But people like Kennedy. So you say, I'm a Democrat like Kennedy was a Democrat. And when you get into the policy discussions, for example, let's say they're like, prices are up and I really want change. I really want prices to go down. Or I really want my wages to go up or something like that. You just explain, you just be honest. Of course, people in the chat are going to say I'm dishonest when I say this, but analysis of the tariff plan that Trump's proposing, it's going to literally cost regular people $3,000 to $4,000 every year. That's literally inflationary, and it just doesn't need to be there, but he just really wants to do it. You could talk about his his tax plan, which is going to increase taxes on 95% of people according to analysis of it, and raise taxes on the top 1%. I think that's also a thing to factor into these conversations, is making it clear that their opponents, that their enemies in a way, are not like poor people or immigrants or whatever. It's the people that buy politicians. It's the people that write the tax code in a way that favors them. It's people like Bezos and people like Musk and people like Zuckerberg.
I fully agree with that.
Yeah. But the key though is being direct, being honest, and respectful, and patient with them. I find it so interesting on these live streams, for example. Obviously, you can see I talk to a lot of conservatives, right? And sometimes it gets heated. Sometimes it doesn't, though. And then
like that second one.
Like the second one, yeah. And then, when you're doing that, you can have a pretty interesting conversation. You can dig into why they believe in the things they do, and try to find solutions that you both agree on. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's it's interesting, these live streams, this experience, because I like talking to the other side. Both because I like the competition of a debate, when it's heated and all that stuff. And you can, it's almost like you're trying to read the person. It's like boxing, but not you're punching, but you're still thinking, you're countering. You're listening to what they say. You're reading them. Like the last guy. Respectfully, I could tell he's a Nazi. I didn't say that to him outright, but when I could tell when he has the U in Trump as a V, I can listen to his the way his little accent. He speaks like Nick Fuentes. He's immediately talking about demographics. He's you know what I mean? Okay, that's why I was like, look, we have our disagreement, and also he was kind of boring. He was kind of boring, so I was like, it's late. I want to move on to the next guy, and here you go. Gromic Riptide says, I was a fellow on YouTube, haha. Oh, I finally got it up, and his stream went down. Well, my stream's up. You know what? I'll go one more time after you with this Gromic guy. Feel free to send in a request after I finish my conversation with you. But yeah. Those conversations, though, where it is talking to a regular person that's willing to listen, it's good because you get to actually address their concerns. And by the way, the election just happened. I think the Democrats need to work on their messaging a lot. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I saw your video on that.
You did on YouTube?
Yeah, I think it was the video with the other channel.
Moist Criticals?
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
I started watching then, and I've been watching for a while.
Really? Well, I'm actually impressed that you came onto the TikTok and asked and talked about it. That's actually pretty neat.
Well, I'm on YouTube. I'm a random guy.
That's your YouTube name? A random guy?
Or a random dude.
Random dude. It does sound familiar.
Spider face.
Spider face. Okay. I'll keep that in mind when I see the YouTube comments and all that stuff. Well, I'm glad that you saw the other channel video. That was great. That was a great experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of going in circles, but I guess in summary, when talking to Trump supporting family members or Trump supporters in general in person when you're not doing like a debate, you know, you just respect is the key. Know the facts, but respecting them as well, while also not like conceding to things that you know aren't true. Like when someone says, like, say, there was a lot of talk about manufacturing in this conversation, right? When people say, like, Donald Trump saved manufacturing, Donald Trump saved the trade. Well, no, manufacturing jobs decreased. That's a fact. Increased under Biden. That's a fact. The trade deficit increased under Trump. That's also a fact. He did a trade deal, which was essentially just an old trade deal that he railed against, but he just redid it with aspects of another trade deal that he also railed against. So he just combined them. And he didn't do infrastructure, which he promised, right? Like, and that's also a really good thing I recommend, is talking in a way that, like, addresses what they want. Like, if they're like, I want the jobs back, talk about how
Yeah,
they
like
get
things
the
about
jobs
like
back.
taxes and stuff and things like that, because that's a big part. Because like we're not rich or anything, you know, so that's a
Exactly.
big part of why they went with what they went with.
You know, if your parents are like not like the MAGA types, they're just like, we voted for
They're
change.
good people. They just you know.
Yeah, they wanted something better, right? And I think probably we'll be seeing, you know, people are very concerned about the state of democracy. I think we have enough checks and balances that we will continue to have free and fair elections going into the future, you know? But I think we're going to see a pretty big backlash to Donald Trump in 2026 during the midterms and 2028 during the next presidential election. And, you know, particularly if he gets to do the things he promised he's going to do. And in that case, you know, hopefully your parents vote for... Hopefully not only will your parents vote for the Democrat, but hopefully the Democrats put someone worthy of their vote. You get what I'm saying? No more Hillary Clintons. No more Bill Clintons. We need a populist. We need someone like Franklin Roosevelt, you know? Andrew, thank you for the follow. But, yeah, I think we got through most of the conversation. Oh, he disappeared. All right. HH, real quick. HH1966 says, people subscribe to these grifters, and then immediately said Vance 2028. Vance 2028. Vance is not a Vance's literal whole thing is fake populism, bro. Literal whole thing is fake populism. So, all right. I'm going to bring the guy from the YouTube chat in. What's your name? Gromnock _ Ricktide. Are you still in the chat? Gromnock? Okay, yeah, you're still in the chat. I'm looking in the guest because there is an invite tool here. And I can invite people. Oh, I see you. Okay, invite. And this is the last person, fellas. If you want to see more of this, feel free to follow. I have to listen on YouTube. Your TikTok is froze. Gromnock, did you get the guest request? Wait, hold on. Lance videos. Wait, this is potentially good content. Lance videos. Your name sounds familiar.
It probably is, brother.
Were you 2020 TikTok live guy?
Yes, sir.
All right, what's up, buddy? What's on your mind? We're gonna try to make this short because I've been streaming for a bit.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I just thought you started, but cool. All right. Thank you, by the way, for having me up. Just want to let you know that.
Yeah.
So I just want to ask, how do you, or why do you think that Trump won the popular vote and the electoral college? Like, why do you think that happened?
It was an anti-incumbency election mainly. People weren't satisfied with the Biden administration, or rather the economy, and they put it on Biden. And Kamala got the incumbency burden on her, and people just wanted something different. a lot of Democrats didn't turn out like they did in 2020, and Trump got pretty similar numbers to how he did in 2020. You know,
A little bit more. But,
so yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Okay. So, how do you think that Trump is going to hurt America? I want to really, really understand that from your point
The
of view.
tariffs are
before
going to
we
be pretty
get
bad.
into
It's going to be about $3,000 to $4,000 of new cost. I think it's going to make economic instability both at home and around the world. And economic instability is generally not a good thing.
And how do you think that Kamala's unrealized tax gains would have done anything?
Well, first of all, Kamala Harris isn't going to be president, so I don't really
Yeah,
care
how
about
would
Kamala
you
Harris
think?
at this point.
You obviously voted for her, and I'm
But
just asking the question.
unrealized capital
How would you
gains
think that
tax
would work?
the unrealized capital gains would only affect people making over $100 million. So I don't really particularly care about the
It would
people that
probably
will be affected.
it actually totally destroyed the stock market, but otherwise,
How did it destroy the stock market when
it didn't?
she
Of
didn't
course,
become
'cause
president?
She wasn't elected.
Okay,
She
yeah.
wasn't elected.
So people making over $100 million,
It
they
would have
don't
totally
really have
destroyed
too.
the
I don't
entire
really have
stock
too
market,
much sympathy for Elon Musk
I
or
think
Mark
he's a
Zuckerberg.
very, very smart guy. Do you not think he's smart?
I'm perfectly fine with Jeff Bezos paying more in taxes.
I don't. I mean, I think everyone should pay their fair share, of course. I'm not mad about any of that kind of stuff. But if there's loopholes in the tax system, I think people obviously should take those loopholes. And
We should
close up
we should definitely patch up the loopholes. You know.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. Yeah,
definitely.
of course. We should patch up loopholes, of course. But
Yeah.
if there are loopholes, why punish people that have already went around them? Who cares?
Oh well, this isn't about punishment. This is about taking power away from rich people, not to punish them, but because that level of wealth accumulation is not a good thing. You can agree
And
that
who do you,
that
I
our,
think
you
it
can
was
agree
like
though.
80,
You can
80
wait. You can agree
billionaires
though.
that supported 80 billionaires that supported Kamala
Yeah,
Harris.
and
Why do you
multiple
think-
many billionaires
think
also
that is?
supported Donald Trump. Kamala Harris is a corporate Democrat. They have
He had
a
more
variety of
billionaires supporting
reasons.
her.
It could be because she is potentially going to cause more economic stability. I'm a billionaire, I'd probably prefer that. So that's one of the practical reasons why. But there's other billionaires that supported Donald Trump because they recognize he's going to give them massive tax breaks. His tax plan was found to have tax increases for 95% of Americans and tax decreases for the top 5%. Ultimately, he had billionaires on his camp too. He is a billionaire. He had the richest man in the world. Jeff Bezos prevented the Washington Post from even endorsing Kamala Harris. So yeah, is Kamala Harris corrupt? Sure.
Yeah,
I agree.
Of course.
Definitely, like Donald Trump is. But Donald Trump's policies...
I don't think Donald Trump is very corrupt because so many people hate
Okay.
him. And on top of that,
well,
and
I
on
don't
top
think
of that-
people
let
hating
me-
you
let me
makes you
finish
not
real quick.
corrupt.
Let me finish my statement real quick. I've let you talk, and I'm going to let you talk because it's your live stream.
Yeah.
But I'd like to talk as well.
Sure.
But I think Trump is the least corrupt politician when it comes to the presidential race this time. Of course.
That's super.
Of course,
Wait,
against
that's super
Biden
interesting.
as well.
That's
And
super
I
interesting.
think he is the least corrupt because he switched from being a Democrat and he's been pro-gay the entire time since the 1990s.
Mhm.
Okay. Anybody who thinks that their gay rights are going to be taken, I literally think that there's nothing wrong there. There's nothing that is going to happen. Okay.
I
If
think
you're gay, you're not
I
getting
can
booted
see
out of the
where
country.
people's concerns are.
I'm giving some free help to all these people that might be worried. Okay. Trump, Project 2025, it's not real. I've talked to a million people. It's not real. It's not going to happen. It's not real in the sense of Trump. That's Trump's policy. It's not Trump's policy. Trump's policy is
Well,
agenda.
the Heritage
47.
Foundation does have pretty big
Okay, but the
influence on the
Heritage
Republican
Foundation
elites.
does not. The Heritage Foundation is not Trump's cabinet. It's not Trump's
Yeah, well, they're
plan.
real close to
They
Donald
might
Trump.
have a plan.
Donald
They
Trump,
might try to do it.
Vance
Okay, but
wrote
listen,
the
listen.
foreword for one of the authors.
But
you know?
okay, so one of the offices way back then, I've talked to the Heritage Foundation people a million times. Doesn't mean that
I'm
I
sure.
am affiliated with them. They've sent me a million emails.
Well, the difference
okay
is
with
you're
that.
not the president. I mean, Donald Trump has spoken at their events and said
he
like
is not-
something around the
he is
lines of
not
you guys
going
are going to be
take
part
away-
of the. This is your
Listen, guys.
thing.
Listen, guys. He's not going to take away your rights. Okay, that's not going to happen. That didn't happen his first term.
Okay,
of
sure. Wait,
course.
it's an interesting thought process, right? So,
Go
Roe v.
ahead.
Wade. I'm not asking whether you agree with it or not, but it ultimately did get overturned by the courts, right?
Yeah.
And it got overturned because there were justices that he put in, Now, they promised they weren't going to get rid of it. They were asked multiple times, and usually the answer was, it's the law of the land for 50 years. There's super precedent. We're not going to touch it. They touched it. They got rid of it. Gay marriage was decided or was made legal because of a Supreme Court ruling in 2015. There was a vote during the Biden administration to codify gay marriage into law after Roe v. Wade was overturned, but Republicans rejected it. I don't think it had the majority of votes. My understanding is it didn't pass. But you could have a situation where you have a conservative Supreme Court that already overturned what they called super precedent, that they said they weren't going to overturn. And they could do a pretty similar thing to the gay marriage ruling, could they not? Is that, like, impossible? That's not impossible, right?
So no. So the thing is, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I've been in the conservative movement for 5 years.
Yeah, definitely.
The gay, okay,
I'm
so
even familiar with you.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So I've been in the conservative movement for a long time, man. Just let me talk for a little bit. I'm not trying to be like crazy exciting or trying to hurt your feelings or anybody in the comments, of course. But let me talk for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I've been in the conservative movement for a long time. The gay rights movement and all that kind of stuff is not going away. It's not going away anytime soon. There's a lot of conservative, I guess not conservative, I can call them Republicans that say, hey, we love the gays and all that kind of stuff. There is no way in hell, and I'm going to say that. I don't know if that's right. Can I say that on
that's
TikTok
fine.
Live?
I think so.
Cool. I don't care. They have a lot of rules. I can't say.
Yeah. You can't. You have to say like unaliving or something.
I don't know. There's a lot of crazy words I can't say because TikTok is so censored. But
TikTok is very interesting. Do you feel like because you were part of that first wave of TikTok politics back in 2020? Do you feel like much of those creators kind of like fell off and were kind of like more replaced with the sort of like TikTok live debate guys like that Dean and Barker guy or something?
Oh, so yeah, I can talk to you about that, of course. So basically, we had a lot of people on conservative TikTok with the Republican Hype House and conservative Hype House and all these other people, and all those accounts got banned, including mine. Mine's permanently banned, and I had to restart. I'm restarting right now. I only have 200 followers, so at least I started like a month ago.
Oh, on TikTok.
Yeah, I just got restarted, man. They gave me my my name back. That's about it. Not my followers, nothing else. Just my name. So I'm happy about that, of course, because we're getting free speech out there. And I believe that you think that free speech is okay because you're obviously debating people. I think people should have free speech, of course, without the worry about getting banned. Of course, if you're crazy and you're threatening people's lives and that kind of like crap, you should be banned.
There's terms and services, and I think that's fine.
Well, I think the terms and I think the Constitution should overrun terms and services. If you're a platform for free speech and you're a platform to have your people's voices out there, no matter who they are, and no matter what they look like, and no matter what color they are, no matter what sexuality they are, it should be free speech for everybody. So
I mean, that'll probably be like, what is the extent that terms of services can affect speech? And that'll probably be something that people in the courts can decide.
Yeah.
When it comes to TikTok mods, I agree. TikTok mods, especially back in the day, I feel like it's a little better now, because like I haven't had a stream ever taken down.
Back then it sucked.
Because my main account, I don't have live streaming access. I just do it on this one because this is an alt account. And I used to be part of somewhat of a hype house. It wasn't as big as a Republican hype house, but I used to be part of like a progressive power or something like that. And I remember there was like a pretty much a fascist hype house that popped up, and I would respond to them. And then at some point they got banned, and somehow the progressive account also got banned simultaneously. So I don't know if that was like a human intervention doing the moderation, but with like my TikTok live, when I lost access to it, that was probably more the robot. People would talk about, we'd be debating the social issues.
The crazy thing about my account, man, was they had banned me like 5 times, and I was like, I'm so done with this. So I did a real like email to their entire like force or whatever. I was like, hey, why was I banned? Can you tell me why? I don't think I did anything wrong. And then they re-emailed me. They said, hey, there's nothing wrong with your account. We're gonna fix this. We checked everything. You're fine. You're gonna come back. And I was like, yes. And they never brought back my account, and I kept emailing them after that. And they're like, well, you were done for this and this and that, but I said, or you guys literally said that I was totally fine. and they kept banning me every time I tried to come back, and it was totally weird. And this is right after the Biden presidency. I'm not trying to say that Biden, specifically asked or anything, of course.
Yeah, I don't think that's.
But
the
it was a weird, coincidence that I was totally screwed over there. But it pissed me off a little bit, of course.
I mean, the progressive
wanting to get
account,
back.
I remember it got banned, maybe summer 2021, I think.
Yeah, probably.
So, yeah, no, I think TikTok mods were just like, wait, I can't speak to like their emails with them, but definitely when I lost live before, it was just like auto mod. It was so like clearly like some words were said that like clearly like got noticed by the machine, by like the robots or something, I don't know, and they got rid of that. This time around, there was somebody saying some pretty racist shit at some point when I was debating them, but my stream didn't get taken down. They were just automatically kicked. So I think
Dude,
TikTok actually did improve on that. So
last night I was on a live stream, and I'm doing these live streams so I can try to build up support for me a little bit. Like if you're Republican, follow me, of course. But I was on a live stream and I was talking to this African American woman, and she was very, very pissed off that I had voted for Trump, and I was trying to be so nice. I mean, I've been nice this entire time, and I try to be super, super nice to everyone I meet on this website, of course, everywhere else, because I'm not a mean person at heart. I just like Trump. So I talked to her, and she like started calling me racial obscenities and a bunch of racist things towards white people, and it was really, really bad. And in the middle of a live, I was the only Republican on the entire, live stream, and in the middle of the live, she got banned. Clicked off the entire site. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And the hilarious thing is, the entire panel of Democrats all said it was my fault that she got banned.
yeah, I can't really speak to that.
No,
but
I haven't done anything. I thought it was so funny, man. I thought it was so damn funny. But well, yeah.
What have you been doing after your TikTok got banned? You obviously have like Instagram. I don't know if you're on YouTube. Have you been like getting involved in real politics, like IRL shit?
No, not real politics. I don't like to get involved in that because my mouth goes way too far sometimes.
Really?
And yeah, I mean, I say some crap, of course. Yeah. Of course, I say some crap just like anyone else says some crap. But I don't really like that. It's too formal. And I live with Bo Diddle now, he was also a part of the Republican Hype House.
Wait, what's the name?
He's a Bo Diddle.
Bo Diddle. That name does also sound familiar.
Look it up on Instagram. You can probably find it. And I also live with his cameraman and one of my best friends, Gabe, and he's a great guy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I live with those two guys, and they were both in the Republican Hype House at one point. Yeah. So yeah, those guys are amazing. We've been doing a great job at reporting on a lot of crazy cool crap. And Bo, I'm really, really proud of him because he's in New York right now reporting on the protests that are happening there. Which is pretty dangerous for him because there's a lot of crazies out there. I'm not saying you're crazy, but there's a lot of crazies out there.
Yeah,
that do crazy crap.
It was interesting seeing the shift on TikTok politics. And like look, I mean, I don't remember too much from you. I don't like literally remember if you were like a Nazi or whatever. But I'm just having a conversation.
I was not a Nazi. Yeah, I was not that. Or I guess I don't know what to say. I don't know if TikTok doesn't like that word or not. They probably don't. But I was never one of those guys.
You're never one of those guys. Yeah, sorry, I forgot TikTok stuff. Yeah. Remembering the old TikTok politics it's almost like I hated it, but I was very into it. You know what I'm saying?
It was a fun time, bro. I guarantee you.
I was out there being.
Huh? We all had fun. I said, you like Kamala. We all had fun.
Yeah.
We all had fun back then.
Yeah. I remember. I remember Alex debates when he said to that one girl.
Might have been a different guy, but
it was like some libertarian kid.
People. Libertarian. So we're not libertarians. We're not libertarians. None of us are. Libertarians, I think, are too crazy. I'm not going to say a lot of words because I can say a lot of words about.
They're unrealistic. That's.
Yeah, they're definitely unrealistic. I don't like them very much. I like the people, but not their policies, of course. I don't think that's good.
I remember what's his face. He was kind of like the biggest libertarian I haven't seen much of him now. What the fuck is his name?
Benjamin Politics.
Ben, yeah.
You
I
call him Bean
remember.
because he accidentally spelled his name wrong. So.
Oh yeah, I remember like
Yeah.
there was like a friend of his. I'm not gonna name names here, but told me. Well, actually, like no, he got called out for this publicly, and then the girl deleted it. He was like trying to get with like a 17-year-old or something. You know, it's.
I don't know.
And then like I think I like. So the girl called him out. The girl was also a libertarian. I'm forgetting her name. I was told about
Gabe's
this.
in the chat, actually. Gabe's actually in the chat right now.
Who is Gabe again?
Gabe said Prax Ben. Yeah, the guy's name is Prax Ben, the libertarian guy.
Prax Ben.
He's still on it. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't get banned, and you know he had some shit, and he got very. I was gonna debate him once on this Twitch streamer, Prime K's show, and he saw my face and it got really mad because I think I had called him out about the like the 17-year-old thing, you know, and he got very angry, but that's okay. I don't really care. I remember like Midwestern Marks used to be a golden boy, but he's kind of also a psycho too. So Eddie Lagersmith. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of psychos out there. I can't be word for word saying that guy's a psycho because I haven't seen any of the evidence or anything because I don't know.
You haven't been keeping up with him. I know is like he's been
keeping up with a lot of people. But so what do you think about abortion? Do you think abortion's going to be banned under Trump? I got to be honest.
It's possible. I mean, J.D. Vance himself was one of those people that was arguing that states' rights isn't enough. You know, if someone in Ohio can't get it, then they go to California or New York and then they get it. And he wasn't a fan of that. He says there should be a national ban. Of course, you know, now he doesn't say that's his position. He is the VP. He ultimately doesn't have the power. But I think that sentiment is not exclusive to J.D. Vance. If Republicans win control of the House, which isn't guaranteed, they have the ability to do it. I'm not saying it's going to happen or not, but it's just the ability is always there.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, it's probably not going to happen. I know a lot of congressmen. I've met a lot of congressmen. As much as a lot of people would love to do it, there's just not a lot of support in the conservative, Republican, party to actually get it through.
I don't think a national ban will happen.
There's no way that your abortion, quote unquote, I'm going to say quote unquote because I don't believe in abortion, quote unquote rights. Okay, I don't believe in abortion, but I really, really don't think that there's going to be any problems with you guys losing the right to abortion, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
In your states that you have, and I believe.
I think I kind of agree. I don't think it's going to be a national ban. I think, but people still will have issue with.
There's
the
a lot of
states
people that are pissed
doing
off,
it.
and they think that that's going to happen.
Yeah, I think the issue comes to this. Look, I understand that, for example, I understand the hesitancy people have towards abortion. I do, but I also understand the need for compromise because when people always debate third trimester abortions, the reason it happens are usually medical, and people don't usually have elective abortions in the third trimester, but ultimately some states.
You said for late-term abortions or for all abortions, the medical reason?
Late term. Generally, late term is for medical reasons.
All right. Okay. Right? So I was about to totally go ham on you for that, but you're good. Yeah. There's a lot of late term. I wouldn't say most. I would say there's a lot. I'd say there's a lot for late term abortions, and that's about it. Late term abortions.
Yeah.
But I also think there's other ways to save both of them, and I think C-sections are a great way to do that. My mom had a C-section. There's a lot of other people that has C-section. And
there's always like some cases
earlier,
you can help them and not have to do an abortion.
There's a lot of cases where you can do that,
but the cases that you do need it, then you need it, right? My point with abortion is this: I think compromise is needed. I don't think putting it to the states is necessarily popular, and you get situations like you have in Florida, where a majority of people in Florida voted to legalize abortion, but because we have a pretty silly 60% supermajority rule for amendments that was recently done, I believe, then abortion didn't pass. So the majority of people in the state want it, but because there was these sort of arbitrary lines made into how amendments pass, they made it so it doesn't happen. But Lance, we've been going on for like 20 minutes. Ultimately,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see what happens.
You can give someone else a chance, or you can go to bed. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna head out now. Sorry to everybody that's
have a
in
good
the
night,
wait
man.
line. I appreciate your time.
And this is a
it's-
Trump supporter talking, everybody. This guy needs to have a good night. He might be a little freaked out that Trump won, but we're all going to be okay as Americans, okay?
Yeah, we'll all be
Everyone knows
okay, I
that.
think. You know.
We'll all be okay. This guy's not getting deported, and so are you. Nobody's getting deported.
Well, some
You're
people
fine.
might get
As
deported,
long as
but
you're- as long as
have
you're
a good
not
night,
illegal,
though.
You're fine. As long as you're a regular
have a
human
good night.
being, American like this guy. Good night, guy.
GG.
GG.
That was interesting. That was a TikTok politics guy from back in 2020. So I didn't expect that. Yeah, Grom Knock. I don't know what happened. I don't know how. I tried to invite you. I saw you in the list and I tried to invite you. Folks, if you're in the chat and you wanted to debate, I saw two people waiting. Feel free to invite. Dino D, no problem about your phone dying. You're good. You're good. I think our conversation was super interesting, and actually somewhat productive. You know, I got to give you some advice. Hopefully, it works into pushing your family in a decent direction. Yeah. Hold on. Let me read YouTube chat before I get off. That's actually crazy, crazy man. Lion Zion, Riptide, Bye Man, I'm a dog, woof. Woof. They right hard drop that bomb out of nowhere. No, that's UG. I'm having a signal. Trump cares about America. Then there he is not, doesn't. There he is. Then there is he doesn't. Interesting. I'm astounded no one can explain on how to get online into... Hold on. Am I fucking dyslexic? Matt TM says, I voted for him. You mad? Brother, I'm actually excited. On some real shit, you know, you get disappointed that your guy didn't win, right? But I'm excited because it means there's going to be a fight in the Democratic Party to see where the party goes, you know? There's going to be a fight, and I'm looking forward to that fight. All right. I'm astounded that no one can explain how to get online to speak in detail. I do not use TikTok. Yeah, sorry, I don't know. There was usually a button to get you on. State enforced homosexuality. What? It's happening, guys. I'm gonna, yeah. Let's go down here. Never fight if you don't have to. Riptide. I kept asking how to find invite. I sent you an invite too, Grom Knock. I don't know if it's because your account's finished, that TikTok was being harder on you. Or yeah. Oh, oops, didn't mean to close that. We already won the fight, 11-5, we won. Love, unless you're implying that no more elections are going to happen, which usually conservatives do not like to say that. There's going to be multiple fights in the future, that's how politics works. We passed the SAVE Act, your party is finished. I don't think a party is finished after one thing gets passed. Alright, guys. Luigi says it did. Even after inheriting Obama's great economy, the country was a mess afterwards. I'm assuming talking about Trump's first presidency. Alright, guys. Thank you for your time. Make sure to follow and stick around. I appreciate you watching. I'm going to end the TikTok live now. Lion Zion on YouTube. I'm still on YouTube, guys. I'm still on YouTube. You guys get a little bit of time with me before I finish the YouTube stream. It could be the internet in Nairobi. Maybe. I didn't know you're from Nairobi. Is that like in Africa? I'm a bit ignorant to that. Obama was pretty good. Lion Zion has. To a degree, yeah. I wasn't a big fan of Obama per se, but I give credit where credit's due. He definitely did better than Trump, I can tell you that. Anyway, thank you for watching. River Crab says much love to you, River Crab. And also, how many people are watching the YouTube stream? 15 people, 12 likes. What? Thank you so much for watching, guys. I appreciate that so much. Gromnock says he's not from Africa. I live in 2 countries. I'm American. I see. All right, fellas. I will see you guys later. Goodbye.